EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 as we get closer to the end of another week, as we get closer to the NFL draft. Just 28 days from the NFL draft. We'll be here for 2 hours to kick it around with you on Birds 365. And for all of our great Phillies fans out there, I threw on the Phillies hat today. Opening day, the Phillies will kick off their season at 4:05 today in Washington to take on the Nationals. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Thursday morning, brother?
Doing well. Opening day. It doesn't feel like opening day locally. We have a lot of non-local listeners, but locally, although it should be a little bit better down in D.C. at least. So hopefully, but luckily it's not in Philadelphia. It's a little chilly out there.
It is. It's a little chilly out. It's supposed to be a little warmer this weekend. I think Saturday's supposed to be pretty nice. But, John, I hate when the weather goes up and down like this. Like, I'm the kind of guy, when it gets cold, be cold and stay cold. When it gets warm, be warm and stay warm.
I'm with you. I hate going out in the morning and I got to bundle up and then it's sick. And then you're like, what am I doing here? It's 65, 70 degrees. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass when the weather fluctuates, but still a little bit Eagle land for those who live or are local to the Philadelphia region. I'm seeing a lot of Eagle merch still out there of people walking around. So we'll see if the baseball kicks off, and hopefully the Phillies have a good season this year for the great people of Philadelphia. But as John has told you guys before, why even watch the baseball season with the Dodgers this year? We will see that. We'll see. Let's see what all unfolds. John, plenty to talk about in Eagle land, brother, as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft. Some stuff in the NFC East came out yesterday, our second day in a row of having some NFC East conversation. This time a rumor, not sure whether founded or not, that the Cowboys are considering trading Dak Prescott to the Cleveland Browns. Now, if you take the contract out of it, I think it maybe makes some sense. The Cowboys might be ready to move on from Dak Prescott. You can't take the contract out of it. I don't know. He's going to have like $100 million dead cap hit if they move on from him.
Yeah. Where can I ask where this rumor?
I don't know where it came from. I saw an older fella who did it, who's doing a show, and I saw the clip being posted anywhere. I want to say it was something like Brennan or something. I'll find the name for you.
No, I mean, Cleveland's got its own problems with a highly paid quarterback that can't play, and now they got to bring in the highest paid quarterback in football. I mean, come on, people, you got to come up with better bullshit. I mean, not to mention who's going to play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys and that type of it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who this guy is from Adam, but yeah, if there's anyone I can say, and I try to leave the door open for everything with Howie Roseman because I've covered Howie for a long time now. You know, whether it's 98%, 99, I'll go 100% on this one. That is complete and utter bullshit. I just looked up Dak's contract. $190 million dead money this year. I mean, what? It's
what's the post June 1? I think it's like 50, right?
It's 148 pre-June 1. It's 51 post-June 1. That's pretty significant. Pretty significant.
But is it possible if they designate it post-June 1 for them to eat $50 million dead?
It's possible from the Cowboys from a financial perspective, not from a how they do business perspective. But Jerry can do anything. Jerry's, he can do whatever the hell he wants. But it's possible. It's not possible for Cleveland. And it's certainly not possible for Andrew. But again, anybody who knows Andrew, I mean, no. But, it's funny. Talked about the Giants yesterday. Saw Kwesi Odopa-Mensah's press conference. Finally, he came out from under his rock with the Aaron Rodgers bullshit. And now we're talking about Andrew Berry in Cleveland. These guys don't get to do what they want to do. So that's one of the big advantages. I talked about that yesterday on the show. That's one of the big advantages Howie has. You can see. It's almost like poor Kwesi. That was like a hostage video. They're like trying to dance around Aaron Rodgers because obviously he doesn't want him. But, the owners might want him because they think they're close. And the coach who's already got an extension has some kind of weird relationship with him. I don't know if that's good. It could be good, could be bad. And you have all these three conflicting desires and wants and needs. Whereas the Eagles, it's always just boom. Might be wrong, but it's
right.
And there's a lot. Like Andrew Berry, I could tell you, there's no way he wants to take on that contract.
No, he doesn't. It's the Haslams. It's got to be.
And the Haslams don't want to either, though. In this sense, they already got to eat their crow with Deshaun Watson. But,
right.
And they're looking for a more tenable financial situation, which is why Kenny Pickett's out there. And we'll see what they do in the draft. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. There's some talk about Kirk Cousins. If that gets to a certain point, because Stefanski has a history with him, that is more realistic if they can figure out how to get the financial part down. But Dak's contract is enormous. And he's under contract through 2028. Yeah.
My new way of looking at whether things are real in Dallas is, would it boost their media value? Okay. And here's my question here.
Certainly
is
not.
Dallas interested in the show of Shedeur Sanders and his father and all of those things? I don't know. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm just saying, do they want to move on from Dak because Jerry feels as though he has, drained that sponge? He's gotten everything he could out of that. All right. He got all the juice out of the orange, if you will. And
well, I see it. Now I see that. Now I see the nonsense of it because of Sanders. So I didn't put those two together. I didn't put that part of it together. So they're trying to get the second overall pick and draft Shedeur Sanders.
Which isn't worth the second overall pick, is he? I don't know. Maybe one first.
Well, he's a quarterback, but no, I doubt number 2 because again, what most fans don't realize, you're trading the contract. That's the problem. Now, still, quarterbacks are much different than positional players, as we've talked about, from a willingness to trade up and value, and people will give up more for a quarterback. Kansas City did it for Patrick Mahomes. Because the Eagles are starting 32. We go back to 2018 and see what Baltimore did for Lamar Jackson, and everybody's saying, well, just do that again and get a future second-round pick. Well, there's got to be a quarterback to get that future second-round pick. It can't just be some run-of-the-mill position player, even though they might be better than the potential quarterback would be at that position this year. But the trade of Dak Prescott pre-June 1st, $95 million in cap space. Can we end the conversation right there?
Yeah, right.
They can't trade him before the draft. So you can't. If you want Shedeur Sanders, if that's your theory, you're not going to. That's not how the NFL works.
Would they still take him at 12? I think they still would. If he falls to 12, I could so see Jerry saying, listen, Chan puts it perfectly. Jersey sales, legacy player, reinvigorated fan base. I mean, that is Jerry Jones to a T right there, that draft.
I don't care what your name is. If you're 3-14, you're not reinvigorating anything. And they would be a horrible football team in the short term.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not reinvigorating anything. People can talk about it, but the minute you start losing, that evaporates in an instant.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. In fact, I think you're spot on. But here's the thing I would push back on you on. Doesn't seem like anything Jerry does makes sense, John. So what you're saying makes sense. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing that Jerry uses to make decisions in the world. I don't think it is.
Well, I literally think you can't do it because of the cap hit. I mean,
yeah, that's probably possible. Likely.
From all the other aspects, I just don't think people take that into account. They just say, they see the name, they see there's been this narrative that Dion wants to, point him in a direction of certain teams and certain franchises, although that seems to be bullshit as well. It's happened in other sports. We see with Bronny James and blah, blah, blah. And I think people conflate that with, and even if you really want to go back to John Elway, forcing himself out. He didn't want to be in Indianapolis. Eli Manning didn't want to be with the Chargers, and they forced their hands, and it worked. So I'm not saying that kind of stuff hasn't happened, can happen. But they can't trade the guy. And the standpoint of, again, that commenter, there's not, I get the thought process, but they'd be terrible.
Yeah, I hear you.
And for all the talk about Jerry Jones, and there's a lot of criticism, you go back to the Johnny Manziel draft. He badly wanted Johnny Manziel to the point that Steven had to stop him. And Steven stopped him, and they got a Hall of Fame offensive guard. So I don't know if in between gin and tonics that sunk in from, from Jerry Jones, but maybe it did, and let the smarter people in the organization have their say. I think they have the best personnel man in the business. I've said it for a number of years, at least since Ozzie Newsome retired, and that's Will McClay. And I mean, I haven't spoken to Will specifically about that particular player, but I find it very hard to believe that he would be trumpeting up him as the second overall pick in this draft.
Right.
We got him 34th. Yeah, I think that would be great. Trade up to 34 and get him. It'd be balls. I think that would be great for the Cowboys.
Or up to 32 if he falls, and give us some extra assets. We'll give.
Well, the Eagles probably aren't going to trade with the Cowboys.
Yeah, they did it for Devontae Smith.
Yeah, but not at a quarterback. You ask. One thing that Howie, said. When the Cowboys trade up, and this is how you do it, and it works vice versa. When he's talked about that trade. And the Cowboys were insistent, offense, defense, that nobody's going to give away the player they're going to take.
Right. But there's a little bit of a handshake deal for a trade like that to get facilitated.
Yeah. Because Dallas obviously wanted Micah Parsons. And if they would have said defense, they wouldn't have made the trade.
Right.
Same thing happens with the Eagles and that particular situation. They'd say, coming up to get a quarterback, we're not giving you a quarterback. Yeah, and that's they might not even believe in the player, but you don't want to take that risk in the division.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, we'll dive into some Eagles topics. I want to talk about some of the guys that have been mocked to the birds. I saw you put out that thing where there's a percentage of people, picking, and there's not much merit to it. It's not real people, but I just want to talk about the players there, see what you think of some of those guys. We'll talk about position groups. We'll talk about some business as well in terms of any offseason extensions left, like any guys to look out for. I know Dallas Goedert, obviously Cam Jurgens. We'll talk about some of those guys, maybe some potential trade options for the Philadelphia Eagles, if there's any out there. And then we will continue to take some questions from the people in the chat and get ready.
I'm wrong 80% of the time, I just saw in the chat.
John and Sills are 80% wrong all the time. Well, John, Cilia was all excited yesterday because you picked the Commanders to win the NFC East, or not really picked them, but you mentioned yesterday that on March 27th you would have Commanders, or March 26th yesterday, that you'd have the Commanders, and he is picking the Commanders to win the NFC East again, and I am going against both of you and taking the birds.
Well, it's March 27th. I also pointed that out, but clearly the Eagles have gotten. But I'd love to see this report card because generally I got a pretty good percentage.
Yeah, 80% wrong is not true on Johnny Mac. Come on, everybody. So good stuff there, John. Before we get into the Eagles stuff, I do want to ask you about one thing that permeated the sports world yesterday. I know everybody wants our Eagles content. Don't worry, we'll give you our Eagles content. But it's a good time of the year to talk about some other stuff. Did you happen to see any of LeBron's interview on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, John?
I saw the clip about Windhorst. That's about it. Yeah, I don't. That's about the only clip I saw.
Yeah, all right. Well,
Which
I just thought the interview was cool. I was curious to hear what your take would be on, getting a player like that to sit down like that. I've never seen LeBron in that light ever. My fandom of LeBron has fluctuated, and admittedly, I stopped liking LeBron a little bit because of some of the COVID and political, and when it got all into that, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm checking out on this. Like, I want to be a fan of great basketball, but I thought it was cool.
I generally check out. I've always said, because I got to cover LeBron for a few years when I covered the NBA, and by that I meant I went to every All-Star game and every NBA Finals, and he was basically in. So I got to know him a little bit. I was always struck by, and just not personally, not like Brian Windhorst. I'm joking. Just in press conference situations and all that kind of stuff, but. I was always struck by how humble he was for how, and I say it all the time, for how basically he's been a superstar since he was in high school. ESPN used to put his high school games on a national platform. It always struck me, but I tend to, I don't listen. I don't care what people's political beliefs are. So
yeah, I agree with that. That's kind of an evolved take I've had as I've aged a little bit here.
So I that part doesn't bother me, but I've always thought he was pretty. I don't know if anybody with his kind of fame cannot be a little bit, overwhelmed by it. But I've always been amazed about how grounded he is for that fame.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No doubt about it. I'm pretty impressed with what he's doing here at 40 years of age. But I thought the interview was great. For those of you who like or don't like LeBron, it's definitely worth checking out. And a good job by Pat McAfee getting that interview done. And they're taking shots at Stephen A. It's a whole funny entertaining time of the offseason.
Well, yeah, he yelled at Stephen A. for saying something about Bron.
Yeah, that was posting Stephen A. and all sorts of stuff. So pretty funny.
Which, when you do go after people's kids, it tends to be a little bit different. I get why he's protective of his kid, but he also, has to. I actually agree more in Steven's case. I mean, if you're an NBA player, you're going to get criticized.
Right, you're going to get criticized. But where Steven did go personal is he said, as a father, you have to stop this. That's personal.
Well, I agree with as well. I don't think you should. You should be understanding that people are going to protect their kids. Even though sometimes they probably shouldn't. And he should, to be honest, I've said when we talk about LeBron, as people get more pissed off. I think he shouldn't have steered him towards his own team. I think he should have let him sink or swim somewhere else. I think
probably would have been better for the kid in the long term.
Exactly. So that's my feeling on that. So I don't think he helped him by bringing him in, but he also wanted to be. How often do you see a father play with a son in a major sport?
Yeah,
it's pretty freaking amazing. So I get that part of it, but I don't think it helps Bronny in the long term, because people think it's nepotism and all that kind of stuff. So, and he proved, he had the other day he scored 27 points or whatever it was in an NBA game. He's got some talent.
Yeah, I mean, you don't do that without talent.
Yeah. So, there's both sides of it, but I think it would have been better if he was on the Sixers or something. That's a bad example. I don't think it's better. I don't think it's better for anybody, but you get my point.
Hopefully the Sixers draft Cooper Flagg. Yeah, all right. I'm trying to revive.
They'll screw him up. It doesn't matter.
I'm declaring on March 27th, though, and I've declared this a week ago, but I never told. I'm reviving my basketball fandom and my Sixer fandom, even if they stink out loud right now, because I love the game of basketball. It was my first love as a kid when I talked about
same here, but
outside of what I played, which was ice hockey. If you play ice hockey as a kid, it's like you don't have time for anything else. But when I got away from ice hockey, I shot hoops outside. I played with my friends at the park. I loved basketball. So I got to get back into basketball.
Yeah, well, that's part of my problem. Basketball was my favorite sport as well at one point, and it isn't now because, much like everything else, the game has changed so dramatically.
Yeah.
It's not the same game. It's not as entertaining. It's not as aesthetic. It's become a 3-point shooting, especially at the college level. People get excited about March Madness. It just has completely sunk. I
Yeah.
hate the college game.
I just wish there was a little more fundamentals. Like Curry really broke people because he
did.
I mean, even young kids though, think about it. You learn the game of basketball. When I was a kid, my dad used to say, until you can shoot, you're not allowed to go outside the free throw line or the inner key. Learn how to shoot under the hoop, throw 1,000 balls up with your right hand and 1,000 up with your left hand. Now kids go out in the yard. They don't even go under the hoop. They don't even lay the ball. They don't even know how to hit the top of the box. They're just jacking triples.
Yeah, I would say the most, watch some Julius Erving highlights, and those were the most exciting plays in basketball. And
yeah, that was always comment LeBron made. That was stupid.
It was always the fast break. It was always Mo Cheeks. It was always Bobby Jones. It was always Julius Erving finishing. And just the old spectrum would ignite, and just amazing moments for this city and basketball. And now, if you had the modern incarnation, they would all veer to the 3-point line, and you'd never see the Rocket Baby dunk, or if you want to go back to Daryl Dawkins, breaking backboards.
Yep.
Different game, completely different game, not nearly as entertaining. But I say the same thing about baseball. I say the same thing about football because,
I can't speak all major sports,
and I can't speak to hockey, but I'm sure it's the same way in hockey. The nerds have ruined it, and they're right. By the way, I'm not. It makes sense. Basketball is the most easy to understand because you can say you get a player like Steph Curry. If you talk about your dad and shooting, if you make 3 of 10 from 3, and that's a bad day for Steph Curry,
right?
That's 9 points. That means you got to shoot 45% from inside there. It just becomes a math equation.
Exactly.
And it's helped ruin the game.
Yeah, the nerd. Look, I was reading this book. People won't like this, but football is a numbers game. It's called, and there's Zach Ertz getting this touchdown in the Super Bowl on the cover. But this is Pro Football Focus and how a data-driven approach shook up the sport. So I was reading this recently. It's a pretty good book, but to your point about nerds, nerds are taking over sports for sure. No doubt about it. Some of it makes a lot of sense. Some of it, I think there needs to be more feel.
Did Matthew Collier write that book?
Yeah, Matthew Collier. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and to some people, what is the title of that book again? Football is a
numbers game. Yep.
To some people, it is.
Yeah. Not to me, it's not, but I do like learning just about other people's perspectives and what drives some of the analytical shift in football. Johnny Mac, good stuff. Let's start with this super chat to get us into our Eagles topics. Skid Marks, thank you, brother. We're going to get into all Eagles topics now. We talked about Dak, and I just wanted to run that LeBron interview by J-Mac. So good stuff there. Let's go to Skid Marks, checking in with $10. Thank you, brother. He says, hello, fellas. J-Mac, would you be okay if the Eagles signed Calais Campbell for D-line vet presence? Greg Cosell said Nolan is the best defensive tackle in the draft. I agree on Nolan. John, your thoughts on Calais? Is he 40? I mean, he's getting old.
Brandon brought him up yesterday. BLG. He's 38. I wouldn't do it. I love the player. I think he should be a Hall of Fame player. For his longevity, and he has had tremendous success. I mean, he's been all pro. He's been made a bunch of Pro Bowl teams, made an all-decade team. He hits all the bars. But at this stage, I think he's a little bit too old, and I think, that's one you visit after if everything else doesn't work out. In other words, if you go back to Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, if everything else, if you can't get a defensive tackle with upside in the draft, if you can't get one post June 1st and you're not worried about really after April 29th or whatever it is when the picks don't count against the compensatory formula, you're going to see a little bit of a third wave of free agency after, I think it's April 29th, when no longer, so the Justin Simmons of the world, you can pay them more money and it's not going to affect your compensatory things. So you're going to see a little bit of a third wave, but to me, he's a guy, like if everything else doesn't work out and the guys you do have, and Moro Jomo doesn't work out, and Thomas Booker and Gabe Hall and your draft picks and maybe a veteran, different veteran, younger veteran doesn't work out, then you say, all right, let's see if Calais wants to go ring chase. That's what I think he is.
Yeah, I could see that as well. I do like that. I mean, 38 is pretty old. And by the way, he's going to be 39 in September, right before the first game. So 39 years old is an older player. I don't think that would happen in the offseason skid. I think that would be like a Calais is probably going to wait till after training camp. I think he's earned the right to do that. So he'd probably do that. But I don't know, John, what's your opinion on the age of this team? We've talked about it. I mean, only 5 30-year-olds. I know you've mentioned it before, but is it too young? Did they go too far with that? Do you think they will try and balance it out? Or, are they doubling down on the young man's game and they're confident they have the right leaders in the room?
Well, I think it depends on the room. I think they're comfortable with Nakobe Dean. I think they're comfortable with Jordan Davis as leaders. Other spots maybe not as comfortable. So I think it always depends on the individual when you talk about leadership, but it's also one of those things where you can't replicate. All right, Brandon's old, Calais is old. Well, Brandon's been here for 15 years. I mean, you can't just replicate that. And when it's time to move on, and the Eagles decided it's time to move on, Slay to a lesser level in the cornerback room. They made their decisions. They might be wrong, but I don't think you just replicate that by signing an old guy that isn't, that doesn't have that imprint on the organization. They're going to have to earn it like everybody else. And if they're aging and not as good, they're probably not going to earn it.
Right. Jordan Davis as a leader, I see the personality leader of him. Do you think playing only 20, 25% of the snaps makes it harder to lead? A lot of people say the best way to lead is to do it, right? To show it, is to do it on the football field and then let the rest follow. I'm not saying Jordan doesn't do it off the field, but do you think that factors in a little bit to being a leader, especially in the modern
Yeah, I think you can't lead if you're not good. Jordan Davis, we've had this discussion, many times. It's a very esoteric player. I say it all the time. And like he doesn't, like his teammates don't think he can't play. Like, there's
he can't play. Anybody that says he can't play.
Well, there's a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people who they don't feel that way.
He doesn't play as a pass rusher, so he's not an every down guy, but he's good at what he does. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of people who don't believe that because you know how it works.
Yeah, this is where I hate opinions, because there has to be an objective truth in order for there to be any semblance of conversation. I mean, the objective truth is that he's not a bad football player. I don't think it's my opinion or your opinion. He's not a bad football player when he's on the field.
I think I'd even go farther. I think he's a good football player at the bare minimum.
Right. The problem is how much you get him out there and what you want to pay for.
Yeah,
exactly. Those are all different discussions.
And inside, they think he's all they all think he's great. So that's not an issue. But yeah, if you're not good and your teammates don't have that reverence for you, then you're not going to be a leader. You can't lead as the fourth linebacker or the 53rd guy on the roster. You might be able to be, relevant in the community and the organization. Like Charlie Hewlett, everybody raves about him in Cleveland. He was like a part of the community. He was like, he's not a team leader though, because he's just a good guy, a good citizen, but he's a long snapper. There's only so much you can do as far as football leadership, and you got to be impactful on the team.
Good stuff there. Skid Marks, thank you, brother. Appreciate the super chat. We got one more super chat we'll get to, and then we're going to dive into draft, all right? Who do we take in the NFL draft? And then I got some good topics as well for hour number 2. We'll take all chats today from the great people of JAKIB Nation. So thanks all of you guys. And Martine checks in. What's up, brother? He says, based on Tuesday's topic about the linebacker depth with Dean's injury and the team offseason, and Martine, well done. Nice job listening to the show. He says, how do you feel about Isaiah Simmons, 8th overall pick, 26 years old, athletic, versatile, and plays special teams? If I'm thinking of the right player, I think he's the Clemson guy. Went to school at Clemson.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, he's a tweener, tremendous athlete. Obviously, it's always difficult when you don't have a position. I was talking about this with Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's either the best player in this draft or the second best player, but you better pick a position.
I know, right?
And I see far too many people saying, we'll let him play both. I don't like that personally.
I think what people miss there is you're going into the NFL now. Like, you're not in college anymore where you're going to be the best wide receiver and the best corner. You're not going to be the best of both in the NFL. You're not. And that's where I think he's got to make a pick.
So with, the Eagles are always infatuated with good athletes. You'll see, when we start talking about some of these 30 visits, the lesser players, you can see they default to athleticism and traits and say, all right, we'll see if we can develop this guy. In the case of Simmons, I mean, you mentioned Dean. He ain't replacing Nakobe Dean. There's no instincts there to play middle linebacker, to call the defense. That's not the player he is.
Could he be an Oren Burks? A better Oren Burks, maybe.
No. Again,
Oren played more traditional, right?
Yeah. High football IQ, much better athlete from that standpoint, special teams and that kind of stuff. But, they have Trotter. They're comfortable with Trotter. Now, you still need some, looks like they're going to move Ben Van Sumeren full-time to fullback, but that can change overnight. And they still need more, but, you're basically looking for a backup to Zach Bond, not Nakobe Dean. And, it might end up being Oren Burks, Trot might end up being, because Oren backed up both of them, essentially. You might have to piecemeal it if Trotter can't do that. But I think he can. And they're very comfortable with Trotter. So I would say that no on Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah. Is he under contract? I thought he was with the Giants. I don't know if he's done with them.
He was last year. I think he's a free agent.
He's a free agent now. Yeah, we'll see on him. And Martine, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate you checking in. One super chat I missed at the start. Let me just hit that real quick. I apologize. Pumper, my boy Brian Pump. Now Pumper has got another target in the crosshairs. 2025 Phillies preview. Old. The Phillies are dog water. Went from daycare to life care.
Phillies are going to be very good, but some bad things got to happen to the Dodgers. So I think it's
Dodgers are old too, though.
Yeah, they are. But they're the most talented team by far. So everybody's in the same boat. If the Dodgers are healthy, you're probably in trouble. But they are older. They're even older than the Phillies. A lot of things happen in sports. Again, the assumption that there's no upset in sports. I used to argue with Jody, but it happens every fucking day. There's upsets. So all you got to do is get hot. Eagles got a good rotation if they stay healthy. Short series, good rotation.
And I don't love the bullpen in Philly.
Yeah, they have their warts, but they're a good team. They're going to make the playoffs most likely. And if you're in the dance, you got a chance. But, I mean, this is permeated. This is one of my Like if you don't win now, it's just everything's a failure. I mean, I don't know when that changed.
Yeah, but this is, John, the Phillies thing is set up not just by fan expectations. This has been the owner. Oh, I'll spend whatever to win the World Series. We want to bring.
Well, that's a good goal,
Phillies.
but I mean, people would say that in the past, and people would understand. Look, if you won your division and you lost in the playoffs, it was still a good season.
Yeah, but people are upset because, man, some of those big contracts, Trey Turner, you got to play up your contract. You know what I mean? Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber. This is like there's a lot of guys on that team that
I'm just saying there has been a shift somewhere. I don't know where, but there's been a shift towards if you don't win, it's a failure. And that's not a good thing in sports. I think you've heard A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Darius Slay talk about it this offseason, about the process. You know, the stars aren't always going to align, even when you have the best team. And it's really hard to win a championship in any major sport. And everything can't be championship or bust. But it's good to have those expectations. You know, I'm a Yankees fan. I freely admit it. It's the only fandom I still have. I'm a Yankees fan because I don't cover baseball, so I feel comfortable not worrying about objectivity. I mean, at one point, they expected to win every year. It's great to have those expectations. It's not realistic, even for a team at that level. And it's always a disappointment when you don't win, but I think people would recognize, all right, you know, they won 3 or 4, whatever they won with Joe Torre, and then they lost. And, you know, they're not a bad team. They lose because, you know, Dave Roberts steals a big.
It's a little different here. I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, think about it. In 22, I think that was the year the Phillies went to the World Series and lost in the World Series. I want to say to the Astros. I think that was the year. I don't think anybody in Philly looked at that as a bad season, right? I think they looked at it as a good season. But when you extrapolate and look at the macro, and now you're 5 years and you're getting to the end of, you know, some of these players' primes, Phillies fans wanted to get one in that period. And I think that's where you can look at it and say, I know winning's not everything in the micro in the year to year, but at what point are you going to get across the finish line? You brought up the Yankees. Yeah, maybe they didn't win every year, but they won a lot.
Well, they had a good run, and then they didn't. And now it's been a very long time. Well, at least in their realm.
The last one they had.
And the last one is when they beat the Phillies.
Yeah,
the Hideki Matsui series.
I was at game 2 of that in Yankee Stadium, John, the inaugural season at Yankee Stadium.
You know, when you talk about the Eagles, Phillies were, I think they were in 3rd place when they lost to the Astros. I think they were third. They didn't even win 90 games. I don't know what they won. And so
that's when they went on a run, right, in the postseason. Yeah.
That's an exact point of, you know, you can get hot at the right time. Now, last year they won a bunch of games. I don't know. They were the best team in baseball for a long time and then kind of fell off and weren't playing their best when the playoffs started. I don't know. But they won 90, mid-90s. I don't know what they won. We got Phillies fans, but they were a good team last year, and they lost in the playoffs right away because they weren't playing their best at the right time.
Right.
I mean, I always argue the Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley Phillies, they had a 3-year run where they were probably the best team, objectively the best team in baseball. And they won once, and I think the year they won was the worst of the 3 teams. And I think the best was the year they lost to the Yankees. They were the best. They were better than the Yankees.
They were in 09, yeah, they were
better. They didn't win. Happens.
Reminds me of the Eagles. You always say Jalen Hurts is better in the Super Bowl he lost than the one he won, and I agree with that. So you're right about that, Johnny Max. Good context by you. Jason A-Team checking in. What's up, Jason? Good to see everybody in the chat today, by the way. I want to welcome and thank all of you guys for being here. The numbers have been tremendous in the offseason. So big thanks to you guys. Don't worry, we got plenty of draft people coming up. I already talked to Ian, so he's good for next week. We're going to have plenty of draft. We're 28 days away from the NFL, or is it 29? I got to double check. Might be 28. But anyway, we're getting close. We're inside a month of the NFL draft. So hit that like button for us. We appreciate all of you guys, and for all of our podcast listeners, our most listened to month ever in Birds 365 has been March of 2025. So thank you all so much. Don't forget to leave a review over there if you listen. Jason A-Team checks in. What's up, Jason? Castellanos said something stupid. They don't have pressure on them this year, maybe nationally, but I think this year is more pressure than any of the past three because it's been the same team. Kind of along the lines of my point, but I agree, Jason.
Well, I mean, if people expect them to win the World Series, those are daunting expectations. Like I said, they're not the best team. They're a good team. They're in the mix. They would have to have an upset along the way. So that expectations depends on the individual. But I don't look at this team and say it's the Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins Phillies.
They're not the Dodgers.
The Dodgers are clearly better on paper. Clearly, definitively better. A lot of things can happen. Injuries, as we said, they're an older team. But I think everybody looks at the Dodgers and says, oh, boy. And the Phillies are no different.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, let's dive into these players. Back to Eagle Land. Appreciate the super chat, Jason A-Team, and appreciate the super chat as well, Brian Pumper, and Martine, and Skid Marks. All of you guys checking in this morning. We appreciate the support of the show. Goes a long way. So thank you for that. John, you put up a thing on Twitter the other day, and it's not, there's no real merit to it. This is mostly fans, probably, honestly. But the mock draft simulator, and there was 5 players that were picked the most by people who did mock draft for the Eagles. I'll give people the rundown. 34% of people picked defensive tackle, 25% picked an edge, and 11% picked an offensive guard for the round 1 pick for the Birds. And the top 5 players were Walter Nolan, Donovan Izaraku, Mike Green. We'll talk about him. I don't think Howie would go down that road. Kenneth Grant and Gray Zabel, the offensive lineman. John, which of those 5 players do you think is most likely for the Birds, based on their position, based on what the team wants, based on the way the team drafts, as you've seen it? Do any of those players jump out? Maybe it's a different, but I just want to use those 5 for the sake of the conversation.
Well, there's a couple of them I don't think are realistic. Probably Grant is not realistic, and Mike Green's not realistic. So I think there's at least a chance that Walter Nolan will fall. I doubt it, but a chance. I think Gray Zabel, chance he's there. And then Izaraku is the one guy they've already, visited with, brought in for a top 30 visit. So obviously they have interest in him, or at least want to find out more information. I always say with those visits, everybody points, well, they drafted this guy. I always bring up Darius Geis. People never think about, hey, you know what? It can go poorly as well. And he got in the shouting match with Deuce Staley. If you believe the rumors, if you believe Deuce, it was somebody else. But either way, it didn't go well.
Right.
And they actually ruled him out.
He never panned out to anything in the NFL. He was a great running back.
No. Washington drafted him, I believe, in the 2nd round. Never panned out. So, but he was here, and the Eagles liked him a lot, and it went in a negative direction. So people never think that. They're interested. Yeah, they might be, and they might find out something they didn't want to find out, and it might be an opportunity to rule some out. But the fact that he's here tells you something. So of the 5, and you're right, it's mainly fans. It's Pro Football Network's draft mock draft simulator. But a lot of media people use that as well.
Right.
So just to do their mock drafts. So all of that is factored into it. But yeah, I mean, the positions are on board: defensive tackle, edge, offensive line. So, some educated people going in the right direction.
I'd like to think some of the Birds 365 listeners are on there. 35% picking defensive tackle, edge, and offensive lineman, or whatever the percentages were. That's good education right there.
Yeah, yeah. So they're right with the, and then it becomes, just who's going to fall to 32. Of the pre-draft visits, you probably had 3 potential, and I don't even think 3. I would say 2 potential picks at 32, which would be the Boston College kid and Josh Connerly from Oregon. Had a top there. Now I think we're only at 9 or 10, so there's 20 more names we don't know. But of the ones they brought in, there's been 2 potential picks at 32, I would say. And then, probably the one outlier they brought in was the cornerback from Kentucky, for a lot of reasons. Maxwell, I think it's Maxwell Hairston.
Yep, that's it.
One, they took corners 1 and 2 last year, 22. So they're very young. Kaylee Ringo's younger than some of the rookies in this draft.
Yep.
So I don't think it's possible, but he might be. And I don't think he's worthy of that 32nd slot. To me, he would look at, that's a guy, if they trade down, maybe he gets involved. But those are the 3 sort of top tier guys potentially that they brought in to date. And then some others, day 2 potential picks. Even, they'll bring in guys they want to target on day 3 as well. So, but that's where we are with the draft.
In round 1, John, do you think tight end would even be a possibility for this team?
No,
I don't.
Well,
like, let's just say I don't think Tyler Warren's a chance, but let's say that Colston Loveland falls from Michigan.
Well, that's why I don't think there's any chance either get to 32.
Okay.
So right there, you're not getting, if Tyler Warren falls to they're going to take him.
He's not falling to 32.
No.
I think there's maybe Colston Loveland 20% chance, but not Tyler Warren.
Then it enters the equation. I don't think anybody else is worthy of that pick, and that's why. But I think tight end is a big need, and they will draft a tight end in a somewhat significant spot. Could be starting in the 2nd round, especially if they trade down. But yeah, they'll draft a tight end at some point.
We'll see what they end up doing there. The 1st round tight end, I didn't see it, but I wanted to see what you thought of it. If a guy like that fell. Skid Marks checks in. He says, do you like the running back Blue from Texas? I think it's Jaden Blue you're talking about, Skid Marks. I happen to be a fan. I was watching I had the NFL Network on. I thought, is that the guy that ran the 4.28?
No, they all run 4.28s. I think they got they brought in the Penn State 39-yard
yeah, the Penn State 39-yard run. Yeah, well, I think he had like a 4.38 at the.
They're all
pretty good though. Combine. I mean, 4.28 at the pro day, 4.38 at the combine. Put it somewhere in the middle, in the truth. But I like the player. I don't know if the Eagles would draft a running back though. I don't know where he's projected.
Day 3, I think they could draft.
I don't know where he's projected. Like I say, I think he's pretty young. He's 21 years old, I think.
Yeah, I mean, running backs tend to get pushed down a little bit, I think, and that's probably why they're looking at him. If he does fall, I don't think they'd take him until day 3. Is how I would describe it. Yeah. But I think everybody's in the equation day 3, and they brought him in for a reason. One of the things I don't get about the A.J. Dillon signing, not that it matters, because I think he's a good player if he's healthy, and they didn't pay him much. So it doesn't matter, but I just don't see the complementary fit with Saquon. Like, if Saquon was hurt and then you had A.J. Dillon as a backup to be your lead back, I'd be, all right. But I want more of the compliment on game days when he's out there, and that's Kenny Gainwell, Will Shipley potentially. And maybe that's what they see with Jaden Blue because of that speed and the explosiveness. But one thing I did when he came in, I looked up some of the scouting reports, and he's got a lot of ball security issues, and he's a poor pass protector. So, I mean, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a guy who can pass protect and a guy who can take care of the football. So to me, maybe it's a longer term, and that's why I say day 3. And then you get him in the building, try to develop him, and maybe something down the road.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. Maybe it is a turn too, where Howie values the running back more based on what Saquon Barkley did for him. Saquon's probably the outlier, let's be real, but maybe there's a turn. Maybe Howie wants to do more at that position. We'll see what they end up doing.
Howie would stand up and yell at you. That they took Miles Sanders at 53. They went out and traded for DeAndre Swift. They'll take a running back in the second round.
Sure.
Moving on.
That's fair. They're good assets. Maybe I stand.
And they just drafted Will Shipley in day 3. I mean,
I don't know what it is, John. I don't like Will Shipley. I don't even like him at running back too.
I don't know, man. But on that, he's pretty explosive. You saw that run against Washington.
Yeah. He got tracked down by who? A linebacker? I'm not trying to pick on him. He can run a lot faster than I can, so I don't want to be that guy. But I don't know. I don't think you got better at running back too. Not that it matters that much because you have Saquon Barkley, so your headliner is so damn good it might not matter that much. But I'm not the biggest Will Shipley guy.
That's fine. I mean, but they drafted him to understanding they're probably going to lose Kenny, and now it's his time to step up. And if he can't step up, then maybe you drafted Jaden Blue on day 3, and maybe he steps up.
We'll see. John, what do you like? Do you like that Donovan Izaraku? They brought him in for a visit. He was on that list of 5 names I just gave you. I could see him. I think that's a player that's what the Eagles would like. I like the player personally. Again, I don't ever profess to be an expert on the drafts. I'll let all the draft experts be the experts. I'll see how it all pans out. But I like Donovan Izaraku, and I could see the Birds taking him.
Oh, yeah. 32. If he's there, he's a big part of the conversation. Big part. And I think if they did get him, he's in the right away, day 1 starter potential. And that's the player they're trying to get at 32. I would think of the guys, well, and again, we're only talking about 2 players of the guys they brought in, but he'd be the perfect fit because Connerly's probably not playing right away. So that's going to piss people off and say, well, he's not going to play.
You think Connerly could be available round 2?
I doubt it. I doubt he's going to be there at 32, but somebody's got to fall. So you never know. I don't think Izaraku is going to be there at 32. You might have to target a trade up to get him. But if he falls to 29, maybe it's worth it to you. And you go up and get him. Because I think he's a guy who could potentially start for you day 1. And I think if everything went to plan, I think he would start for you on day 1. You got to do it in training camp and you got to win the job. But I think there's that potential where somebody like Connerly, you can move him inside. Some people he's a natural tackle, but you could start him inside and kick him out when you need him. And then you have 3 options: Tyler Steen, Kenyon Green, Josh Connerly. You figure you're going to get decent play from one of them. But I don't see the immediacy of Josh Connerly. I see it with Izaraku, and I'm going to have to learn how to pronounce his name correctly.
I think you're right on. Izaraku. I think you're right there.
So, I think that would be a good fit for the Eagles.
John, I want to talk about another player here that we mentioned in the 5. And this is a guy that I do not think would be there at 32, but because of the surrounding things that have happened, because of some of the things off the field, maybe there's a chance he falls. Remember, Jalen Carter should not have been available at number 9. Should not, I repeat. He was. Edge Mike Green from Marshall. This is a guy who I think is arguably the second best edge rusher in the draft behind Abdul Carter. I think he's going to go top 15. He does have some legal issues, some things off the field and with domestic violence. I don't know too much about it, so I don't want to slander him or anything like that. I don't know the nature of the cases, but I know it exists, and it will scare some teams off. If this is a guy that fell, do you think Howie would take a chance on a guy like that? Obviously, Jeffrey Lurie has a history of giving guys second chances. They believe in the culture. They believe in the organization to set some of these guys right. Go to Jalen Carter. Obviously, think back to, Michael Vick. There's been many instances of Jeffrey Lurie going down that road. Do you think they would do it with Mike Green from Marshall?
Yeah, I mean, that's a Dom question. That's Dom's job.
Right.
But everything you said is correct. They're willing to give people second chances, but I mean, that's an individual basis. That's why, they do their homework, and that's why they do their due diligence, and every player's different. Like, now that I've gotten to know Jalen Carter, I could say more definitively, like I say all the time, I get why Chicago didn't want to take him. Number 1, especially. Now, when they traded down and he fell down, they probably got pissed off he was there because they had to pass over him again. But
right.
So I get, where they were and why they didn't want to do it at number 1. Then I think the value is too much, and they should have done it. But they traded down again, and the Eagles were able to get him, and basically the rest of the league gift wrapped him by their unwillingness to take a chance. But, after I got to know him a little bit, I'm like, nice kid, a little bit immature, as I said. I was immature. I feel comfortable saying that because I was tremendously immature at 22, whatever. I think most of us are. He's just nice. He's a nice kid who made a bad mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to dismiss the mistake at all. There was another Georgia guy who got arrested the other day. There's something going on with that program. And Kirby Smart's got to get it under control.
Young kids and fast cars, John. I mean,
yeah.
That's the thing that about Jalen Carter. Like, it's character is not the thing with Jalen Carter. Did he make a mistake in the car? Absolutely. But I mean, I don't know. I'm a guy that likes cars. When I was young, I used to speed, and I drove a Volkswagen, for crying out loud. Like I'm just like that. That to me isn't that big of a red flag. I know it's a tragedy what happened. I'm not taking away from that, but I can look at Jalen Carter and say, oh, there's plenty of good in that guy. I don't know if you can say that as much with a guy that's got multiple domestic violence things. I think it's a different situation. Again, I don't know.
It's completely, and that's why I say it comes down to, if you, and I've never met Mike Green one day in my life. I don't know any of that information. That's the kind of stuff we don't know. We have no idea. I do know if it's just football, there's no fucking way he's going to be there at 32.
That's for damn sure. He's a good player. You think he's number 2 edge rusher in the draft?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I have him too.
And I think they had their pro day it might have been this week, and he knocked it out of the park there. So
I think the Eagles were there, no?
Yeah, they're at everyone. Yeah, certainly.
Well,
somebody's there. Yeah, Marshall's not that far. So.
Yeah. And it's also not that big, though. So if there was one you'd miss, maybe it would be Marshall. But
no. Not when a player like that is there.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, so if it were just football, there's no way. I still think there's no way he's in the conversation at 32. I'd be surprised if he gets out of the top 15, but I don't know the off the field stuff. I mean, that's why people do these, interviews and do the background checks. And if it's more serious than I think it is, then yeah, he's got some issues. But, then if he's here for some bizarre reason, then if you get to know him, then you can kind of figure out, what the Eagles saw, what they didn't see. But I got to tell you, and I'm not going to pick out individual players, but if you pick go back to 2021, the Nick Sirianni era, you can take all those draft picks, put them all together, and Jalen Carter, if he's not the nicest, he's in the top 10 percentile, just as a human being, as a person. And I think that's what made the Eagles comfortable. Like like I always said, he wasn't out there robbing banks.
Right. Lack of character is different than making a mistake as a young man.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Jalen Carter made a mistake as a young man versus Mike Green. You might look at it and say, is this guy just a bad egg? Is he a bad dude?
Yeah.
That could be a fair.
And there's some people I've met that seem like bad dudes and have not done anything. And I would say, I don't want that dude around here.
Right.
And Jalen Carter ain't one of them. So,
in fact, Jalen Carter strikes me and I don't know him. I've never talked to him, but I hear what you guys talked to him about. I've seen clips from the locker room. He strikes me as the opposite, John. That's a guy you want in your room to build around.
He's a very nice person. I don't know how else to describe it.
He's also very humble. I at least that's the impression.
He's humble. He's shy. If anything, he's shy. He's he doesn't like. He hates scrums with cameras. He hates them because he's shy. I mean, he's not John Dillinger. He's not on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, but he made a terrible, terrible mistake.
Right.
And I think there is a difference than, somebody who's doing consistently bad things. And there's a lot of NFL players that do consistently bad things, but maybe not to the tragic level. And I don't know if people understand what I'm trying to say because they conflate other things in football. But to me, consistently being a bad guy is far worse than being a good guy who made a horrible, horrible mistake that resulted in deaths. So I don't want to downplay that at all.
No, yeah, not downplaying it, but I think there are two different things here. Again, I don't really have much of a comment on Mike Green other than I'm trying to gauge on what the Eagles would do there if he fell. So I'm not really sure about that. John, looking at some of these other edge rushers in the draft, I think we can rule out those. I mean, we just talked about Mike Green, but Abdul Carter, obviously, rule him out. Mike Green, 95% chance, I'd say, rule him out. James Pierce, maybe he could fall. Donovan Izaraku, Michael Williams from Georgia. I like Michael Williams. Shamar Stewart.
They do too. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing because he's from Georgia.
Just because he's a Georgia guy. But he's good against the run too. He's one of those. Remember we talked about we got a lot of young or small edge rushers. Well, Michael, 6'5", 260. He's a little bit of a bigger guy. I could see it with him. Then you got Shamar Stewart, Nick Scorton, and Landon Jackson. I'll stop it there. Those are 3 to 8 on your edge rusher big board. Any of those names that you like the most, John, or more than others? I mentioned to you I like Mike Hell, and I'm actually a Landon Jackson guy. I think you would trade back if you wanted to get Landon Jackson, or alternatively trade up in round 2. But I don't think you need to take him at 32, and I think he'd be good value. Any of the edge rushers that I just mentioned, John, that you like for the Birds, like to fit with Vic Fangio and this team?
Well, there's 6 guys I would say that belong in the conversation for being first-round picks, and I think 3 of them are completely unrealistic. We just talked about one. Even despite some of the issues, I think Mike Green is too gifted at that, and this is a position the league values. So somebody's going to take a chance. It might be later than it should be, but it ain't going to last to 32. Carter's obviously ridiculous to talk about. James Pierce had a shitty pro day, shitty combine, from an athletic standpoint, but he had so much production at the college level. I don't think there's any way he lasts to 32. So that boils it down to 3 guys. Izaraku, who they've already brought in, Michael Williams, and Shamar Stewart, who's the tremendous athlete with the lack of production. If I were a betting man, I would say none of the 6 reach 32. Because again, the position is too valued.
I know you got 6 of them though going before 32.
It's you can make a strong argument that it's the second most valuable position in the NFL.
Yeah, behind quarterback.
As one GM described to me at one point, if you don't have the quarterback, you better get to the quarterback. Meaning you better have that pass rush. So, they value the position, and remember some of the other positions they value, offensive tackle. It's not as good a year as it typically is. So you don't have as much competition. So it's one of the reasons I think they'll all go. And then I think when you talk about, and you mentioned a couple of them, Nick Scourton, Landon Jackson, probably the next couple would be in the conversation, Jack Sawyer, those guys, Kyle Kennard, who they had some interest in, and they wanted to talk to him at South Carolina's pro day. Elijah Roberts, they brought in from SMU. They brought in a kid from Miami. Trying to find him. Barron, I think his name is. They brought him in. Then if those 6 are gone, and I think they're going to be gone, you start moving back. You start thinking about them maybe 64, or if you're going to move up, however Howie manipulates the board. I don't think any of the second tier you're going to reach for at 32. You're either going to shift positions, or if you have to stay put, you're going to trade down. Or I'm mainly focused, and partially because they brought him in with Ezaraku now. He's the guy who you could say, all right, let's move up from 32 to 28 to get this guy. Something like that.
I could see that. The draft's going to be interesting because, the people have talked about the Eagles have 20 picks in the next 2 years. So I'm going to make a bold claim.
I got one last, by the way.
Yeah, you think they're going to lose a comp pick?
I do.
Because of that Ojulari signing?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the numbers on his deal? They came out. I thought it was $2 million guaranteed. Is that what it was?
$2 million, $3 million guaranteed, $2 million salary, $1 million signing bonus, and then $500,000 in likely incentives, which counts when they're described as likely. And $3.5 million would hit the cutoff to wipe out the Isaiah Rodgers comp pick. Still not official. Obviously, but on paper it looks like they're gonna, but it's just a 6th-round pick.
Becton comp pick.
That's 5th rounder. They're still in line to get that.
Well, because did you see the numbers that came out on his contract?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it officially.
I thought I saw somebody put up the official numbers, and they were not good for Mekhi. I mean, basically, first year is.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, see if it comes up on your side. I'll read. I'll pull up what I saw. But basically, 2-year deal. One of the years guaranteed. It's $6 million guaranteed, and then they have an option on year 2 that they could pick it up, but it'd be $12 million guaranteed in year 2. So. According to Over the Cap, Becton's only guaranteed $6.94 million. Chargers can get out after 1 year, or he's under contract for $12.5 million in 26. So,
yeah, that's still plenty. It's average annual value. So, just under $7 million. Yeah, and that's why all the compensatory pick guys, Nick Corte from Over the Cap, they still have the Eagles in line to get a 5th.
Right.
So that number's still plenty significant enough.
Okay, that's good.
To get them.
On that. No, but the point on the draft is they have 20 picks, maybe 19 now. As John mentioned, you might lose a comp pick there, but 19 pick. I don't think they're picking 19 players in the next 2 years. Financially, that's not going to work in a couple of years. But the question would be, where does Howie extract the value? Does he trade up in the middle rounds to get players he likes? Does he package some of them to trade up in round one? Like people have, like you talked about trading back in round one, and I think I'm not saying you're wrong. It makes sense, but you're going to gain more draft picks. Now, maybe it's all to package up and go and get guys you like, but
what one thing, he's not staying put a lot.
That's for sure.
So he's going to move up. He's going to move down. He's going to move. I've tried to explain the Eagles have these cluster of picks, and they generally try to focus in on 4 or 5 players they think will be there at a specific spot. And if they're not, they're probably going to try to trade out. If one's less, the high profile example in the first round, but this is every round, is Devontae Smith. If there's one left, they'll try to go up and get him. If they can't, they'll try to move back. And they do this with every round, not just first round picks. Like they'll have a cluster of guys that they think are going to be in play at 64 if they don't move. And same thing. If one of them's there, they'll take them. If 2 of them's there, they got a decision to make.
Yeah.
Who do they like? Who's got the slight advantage? All that kind of stuff. And if none of them are there and they can't move up to get one of them, they'll try to move back. That's generally how they handle the whole process, all the way down to, they don't have a 7th round pick right now, but all the way down to day 3. So right now, as they open the process, they have 32, 64, 96, which is easy because, it's the last pick in each round. Well, 3rd, they have compensatory picks, but 3rd regular pick. And then 161, 164, and 165, which is a really tight cluster, So they'll have a bunch of players they'll project players in all of those spots and say, all right, these 4 or 5 guys might be here at 96. And that's what they're doing when they bring in players like, it's not only when we talk about Ezraku and Connerly, it's not only a bunch of first round potentials. Tyler Barron's not going to go in the first round. That might be a guy they're looking for on day 3.
Right.
Jaden Blue, day 3. That's what Charles Grant is an interesting guy they brought in because he's a small school guy from William and Mary. He's a tackle. Should have mentioned him because he is an outrageously good athlete. And he's like by far the best left tackle in FCS football. All-American, just outrageously productive at that level. But, that's William and Mary. It ain't Alabama. So you have, all right, how is that going to project to the NFL level? But he's certainly got the athleticism to play in the NFL. And boy, he's got a high ceiling. If Jeff Stoutland, again, you have tremendous, and everyone should have tremendous confidence in Jeff Stoutland. If they can get that kid at 96, that's pretty good. And that's where I think, but somebody else might say, all right, he's such a good athlete. It's interesting. Grant is 97th. They have the 96th pick. Grant is the 97th ranked prospect by PFF. 97, just after they brought him in. Right. Obviously, it's not going to work out that way. But if he falls all the way, now to me, he's such a good athlete that somebody's going to take a chance on him in the 2nd round because it's not a great tackle draft. So I don't think it's going to work out for the Eagles, but that is an intriguing player if the value matches up, and the value in the 3rd round would, to me, be off the charts. But, maybe we're talking about him in 3 years when we say, hey, I came in for a top 30 visit with the
Yeah,
Eagles.
right. Yeah, Eagles pick him up after he doesn't work out somewhere else. Probably could be likely. We'll be here to cover all that for you guys on Birds 365. Appreciate everybody checking in this morning. John, I want to go to defensive tackle. We just talked the edge rushers. We mentioned some DTs there, but we'll do the same exercise. Mason Graham's the top DT. Gone. He's not coming to 32. No chance.
No.
Kenneth Grant, most likely gone. Not going to be there at 32. Your top 2 Michigan defensive tackles in this draft. Then you have Walter Nolan. Most likely going to be gone. I feel like maybe he could fall. You got Derek Harmon from Oregon. You got Darius Alexander from Toledo. TJ Sanders from South Carolina. Now I think you're getting into those maybe second-round picks, but any of those guys, I know we've talked extensively about Walter Nolan. I think everybody is kind of in a consensus. Oh, everybody would love Walter Nolan. We're kind of become the popular pick amongst all Eagles fans.
Yeah,
But,
well, he was number 1, I think, on
everybody's picking
Pro
him.
Football Network. Well, he makes sense. That's why.
Right.
It's not a bad thing. Makes sense. I don't think he's going to be there at 32 again.
You think he could be a player they would package up, maybe go to 28, maybe go to 26 to try and grab him?
Possibly. I mean,
it all depends on their evaluation, I guess. But I'm just trying to get a sense of, like, if you think they value DT in this draft that much, would they do it?
Yeah, I think they would take the defensive tackle, because I think, you don't. I don't get I don't get the same. I don't have personally. I got to make clear. This is my personal opinion. I don't have as much concern over defensive tackle as I do edge rusher. I think people that listen to the show would realize that by now. So I'm not nearly as I believe in Moro Ojomo. I think he can be a good player. I don't have as much confidence in some of the edge guys that other people have more confidence in. So I could be completely wrong, but so that kind of shades my thinking. I'm like, I don't really have to go up if he falls.
Don't they still need a body there, though? Like right now, we got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo. Who am I leaving out? That's a tackle, and that's going to be a contributor.
Well, they have Thomas Booker, and they like Ye Paul as a young player, but first of all, I put Jordan Davis aside. Now I yelled at Ed Kratz. He did a mock draft, and he had the Eagles taking, I believe, Kenneth Grant. I'm like,
at 32, come on, Eddie.
Well, first of all, he ain't going to be there, but second of all, he's a nose tackle. He's 340 pounds. So then you're getting rid of Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is going to be here next year. I think people don't. So, I mean, to me, Kenneth Grant is not even in their realm of thinking.
So you have to you gave Eddie Kratz an earful.
Well, I didn't. I didn't give him an earful, but I just said this is why I don't like mock drafts. But anyway,
Eddie K catching some strays. Eddie K, if you're listening,
he's catching some strays. But they want an under tackle, an old school under tackle, 3 technique, and Walter Nolan could be that. So, yeah, I think if he's there at 32, but I don't get the urgency that I have to go up and get him. Like I get the urgency with the edge rusher. I don't have as much urgency. The Eagles might think of it completely differently, but I believe in Moro Ojomo. So that's what it comes down to. And that's why I don't have the same sense of urgency. But if he's there at 32, if Harmon's there at 32, I think they're both in the conversation. I think those are the only 2 in the conversation at 32. Then I think if you talk about TJ Sanders and from that point on down, I think you're starting to talk about trading down, and because a bunch of those guys are not going to be you're not going to be able to wait to 64 and get them. So if you do like one of them,
you like that Toledo guy at all? Darius Alexander.
A lot of people have him as sort of a bridge pick.
Yeah.
Could go late first round, could go early second round. I'm more in the early second round category. Now, another thing the Eagles do not like is, and they shipped up occasionally, but he's going to be 25.
Yeah, that's old.
Yeah, so
I'm
generally,
weird like that. I like young rookies.
Generally, and people say Andre Sam was really old. Yeah, he's an undrafted rookie. They'll bring in with a first-round pick. I don't think they're bringing in a 25-year-old. I don't believe that fits their philosophy. And
even the philosophy that you talk about of 3-year windows, and I think you have to look bigger with the first-round pick, right?
Well, yeah, and plus, and there's a difference between 5. Like if it were 5, I'd say, well, there's no freaking way they're taking a 25-year-old. 32 is one pick away from 33 and a second-round pick, so it's not as concerning. But it's just something to put in the back of your mind that, hey, he's 25, or he's going to be 25.
Yeah, going to be 25 his rookie season. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of old. So I again, trade down. I wouldn't put him in the conversation at 32. But if you're going to trade down, then maybe.
We'll see what they do there. John, let's go to tight end now. All right. These are the 3 positions I think that are defensive end, defensive tackle, tight end. These are the 3 I think the Eagles will 100% address in the draft. All right. Tyler Warren, rule him out. They're not getting them unless they do a crazy package and move up to the top 15. I don't see it. Colston Loveland, most likely out if he fell to 32. I don't even think the Eagles are a player for a tight end in round 1. Maybe I'm wrong. Then you have Elijah Arroyo from Miami. You have Mason Taylor from LSU. I like Mason Taylor. You got Terrence Ferguson from Oregon. You have Harold Fannin from Bowling Green, friends with the or former player from the new quarterbacks coach in Philly. Gunnar Helm from Texas, who was, I think, met with the Eagles. I'm not sure if that was at his pro day or the combine or what that was. Then you have Mitchell Evans, and you start to get down there a little bit. Any of these names that you think are, oh, that's an Eagles pick?
Well, I think the second rounder, potential second rounders, Arroyo, Taylor, Helm. I think those are the guys.
Helm, he's not going second round, John.
I think he might.
Really?
I think he might. Like Harold, it's interesting. Harold Fannin is really small. Like,
yeah, I'm not a fan of him. He's a wide receiver. He's a glorified wide receiver.
Yeah. And, there's one of those things where, because Scott Loeffler is, the new quarterbacks coach, he used to be the head coach at Bowling Green. And I think because I've seen that a lot, and I said, I'm sure he loves the kid. I'm sure, he had tremendous success with him, but, he's just as likely to tell the Eagles, well, you can't block.
I mean, honestly, John, I don't know if any of these tight ends can block. Like Elijah Arroyo is a big dude. Yeah. He can't block. Elijah Arroyo, he would be the guy who could block of the tight ends. He can't block.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Again, it's about projection. You go back, you can read every single, I guarantee this. You can do it today. You can do it right now as I talk about it. You can write about every single Dallas Goedert scouting report coming into the NFL draft. All of them said he couldn't block because he wasn't asked to block. He was like the biggest star. He was like a
wait. Who was his player? Sorry, I didn't hear your name.
Dallas Goedert.
Oh, I forgot it. Okay.
He all he did was he was a glorified receiver at South Dakota State. They didn't ask him to block. The Eagles didn't know he could block. They tell the story all the time. And he's just a big guy who took to the physicality. And that's why it's not about what they were. A lot of them aren't even asked because they're too good as receivers. And that's why I point to Mason Taylor would be my pick if I can get him somewhere in the second round. Because I think there is a lot to people who say this is, a genetics league and is, Jason Taylor's his father. He's over 250. He's 6'5". They didn't ask him to block. But you get 1 year in an NFL weight room, he's going to be 260. If he takes to the physicality of the game like Dallas Goedert did, that to me, there's a guy you see the impact that he could potentially turn into a decent blocker. You know, most of them can't block because they're not asked to block.
Basically, yeah. They all, whether they weren't asked to do it or they just aren't good at it, most of them don't have blocking on the scouting report.
And you know, one of the cliches in the modern NFL about tight ends is just lose slowly as a blocker. They don't expect you to be Mark Bavaro or Gronk. You know, lose slowly. And I think Mason Taylor's the kind of guy that could develop and get big enough to lose slowly, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah, it makes sense. It's going to be interesting to see. John brought up Dallas Goedert. How about this? Here's a little piece of information maybe that you didn't know, Eagles fans. Dallas Goedert was a walk-on at South Dakota State for the Jackrabbits. Think about that. A walk-on. And look at what he's done. That's a pretty impressive career for Dallas Goedert to be as good as he is now in the NFL after walking on at South Dakota State. So pretty cool stuff there. John, we're going to move into our commercial break. We got 30 minutes left on the show today. And what I want to talk about is I want to do some Eagles business. And what I mean by that is any extensions left this offseason. You know, when you look at this offseason, where are the strengths? I want to take a contrarian look to the draft and say, where is the team strong enough that we wouldn't even consider in round 1, 2, or 3? I know that might be hard to do, but how do you look at it from that perspective? Kind of a reverse view on it versus, hey, take this guy, this position. So we'll do all that coming up next on Birds 365. I want to thank everybody for checking in. Let's get to 2 super chats before we get to our break. General JD, what's up, my brother? Appreciate you being here. If Starks and Stewart both there at 32, who do you take? Got to be Stewart.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to bring in a veteran safety as an insurance policy, probably pay him a little bit more after April 29th. A lot of people are going to draw the connection to Justin Simmons. It might be Justin Simmons. They can't do it now because it will probably wipe out their Mekhi Becton compensatory pick. So that's why they can't do it now. And it might be that sort of wink deal where, you know, the guy's on whatever podcast that was talking about how much he loves Vic and this and that. So I could see that coming down. Yeah, I think edge is just a much bigger need, much more important position to the Eagles. And you got a guy with a high ceiling. Now, concerns me the lack of production.
Yeah, I'm almost out on him. Again, I don't profess to be a draft expert, and I don't want to be that guy. So I'm not going to say he's not going to be anything. Me personally, I wouldn't take a guy that was unproductive in college like that. I value production over the combine. Some teams might look at it different, but I think it's a scale, and depending on what you value more is how teams will look at it. I think it's different for every player, probably.
Boy, I love everything about him, though. He's not only that athlete, but he brings size. Like, I'm very concerned about the lack of size.
Yeah, I know. But it's kind of, I mean, isn't that the NFL now, John? Feels like it's everywhere.
And it isn't. You know? It's like everybody has one. Not everybody, but most people have.
How big is like TJ Watt? 6'5", 260?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty big.
Yeah, that's pretty big. That's what I'm saying. That's probably the bigger.
Well, the Eagles don't have that.
No, I know they don't.
No, Jalen's
6'4",
237, 230, and he ain't. Yeah. They're also when you're
fudging
down that low, they're fudging.
Yeah.
That's one thing I said about Nakobe Dean when he first got here. He was small. Now he has built up his body a lot. But they had Nakobe at 230. He's probably 230 now. He wasn't 230 when he got here.
No, he wasn't. Yeah.
So, you know, Jalen Hunt has that frame where he can add that. He could be that guy. But, you know, he's got to do it first. Stewart walks in the door. He's a big dude. And I think it's a nice compliment. We talk about compliments in the backfield and compliments at receiver. There's compliments at edge rusher too. And I think Shamar Stewart would be a nice physical compliment to Nolan Smith on the other side.
How about Landon Jackson? My boy Daz loves Landon. I like Landon Jackson.
Well,
6'7",
same thing. Yeah, he brings,
John.
but he doesn't, and he's a good athlete. He's a good athlete as well.
Yeah,
he tested very well, but he doesn't have the guy. I'm all in on Landon Jackson, but it's got to be a second round.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think that, like, remember the scenario? Well, we've talked a lot about it on the show. The scenario where you move back in round one. That's the guy. Like, I think that's who a guy like that is who they would do it for, right? You get value out of that first round pick. You don't like somebody there. If you like a guy enough in early round 2, you move back, you get an extra asset, and you pick up your guy. I could see Landon Jackson.
I could see Shamar Stewart being the type of player the Eagles would go up for.
Up for, though, not back.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Landon, you could go back for probably.
Yeah. The Eagles tend to like the athletic freaks.
Yeah, they do.
And and they have a lot of confidence in their ability to develop players. Maybe too much confidence. So I don't think that would.
Now with Vic, right? That even went up.
Yeah, it probably went up if anything. So I don't think that would dissuade them. If he starts drifting, and you're talking about a guy, of all the first round picks, one of the things we're going to get Ian Cummings on next week. I got to text Rick, try to get Rick on.
Yeah, I emailed him. He never got back to me, but I'm sure I know he's slammed at this time. They're very busy this time of the year.
Yeah, I'll text him today. I got to write this shit down. But what was I saying? Oh, I always like to ask those guys, like, who's got the biggest range of ending? You could see them going really high or drifting, the biggest range. And I think Stewart's one of those guys. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if somebody took him at like 12. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he fell down to, like, he's that kind of rangy guy because he didn't produce, but he's got so much. The ceiling is so high. I think the Eagles would lean towards the ceiling.
I think you're probably right. Yep, I think you're probably right. Me personally, I like game tape, but I'm not saying if you don't have game tape, you can't be a good player. So we'll see what they end up doing. General JD, thank you for the super chat, brother. We appreciate all of you guys listening today. Brian Pumper checking in. What's up, Pump? He says, we're not drafting Starks. His relative athletic score is ass. Keep bringing his name up in talks, and we might as well draft Xavier Restrepo, SMH. Xavier Restrepo, that's a guy who has great game tape, and now he didn't do a good pro day, so everybody's acting like he stinks. Go watch the game tape on him, Brian Pumper. That dude creates some separation. All right, I watched him at Miami a lot last year. That guy can play, but he runs like a 4.8 or whatever it was because he was hurt, and now everybody says he stinks. That's what I hate about the underwear Olympics, man. Guys, all of a sudden, everything he did in the games doesn't matter. Drives me crazy.
I don't think Stark's relative athletic score was ass.
What was it?
I don't know. I'm trying to look it up. I know he had his pro day and everybody was raving. Now, again, everybody's got everybody's becoming Penn State. We talk about it with Texas.
Right.
Now we're going to talk about it with Georgia. I think everybody fudges those numbers. So I don't take the pro days as seriously. 244 out of 1,095 from 1987 to 25. It's not great, but it's not ass. But now 244 out of 1,095. It's not top 10, but it's not ass. But yeah, I don't think the Eagles are taking him. Other than he's from Georgia. Never rule it out.
Yeah, right. We'll see what ends up happening there. Brian Pump, appreciate it, brother. Appreciate the support there on the super chat. John, good stuff. We'll get to our commercial break. As I mentioned, when we come back, let's talk about a little business of the Eagles that think people that are already here. We had good draft talk today. Plenty of great draft talk to continue to get into. I like these middle rounds. We'll talk more about these middle rounds, especially as we get closer to the NFL draft. But the one thing I want to talk about when we get back is, what's left in the offseason outside of the draft. What kind of business does Howie have, on the agenda? So we'll talk about that when we come back. Big thanks to all of you guys for tuning in. We'll be right back on Birds 365 in 3 minutes.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports, the #1 Philadelphia Eagles daily podcast, live from 8 to 10 a.m. every day on our YouTube channel. And we'll be live all through the offseason. Tell me where you'll find Eagles content as good as this all year long to talk about our Philadelphia Eagles. You won't find it anywhere, so we appreciate all of you guys for being here. Johnny Mac, I want to get into our final segment here.
Hey, before you do that, I want to, because I was looking, I want to give our guy Pumper some credit. So I want to, now, the Starks did go down when they evidently, so he had that original grade, which I gave. Then he went down pretty significantly to about halfway, five something out of 1,108, because he had shitty agility testing, which is basically the shuttle drill, the 3-cone drill. And this was at the combine. So Pump is right from that perspective. He went down. Those are considered pretty poor grades. His vertical leap's not great, which is explosion type either. But then he went to the pro day and everybody was raving. That's like, I mean, it's
everybody's going Penn State now, John.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like, yeah, I don't know, but he's a pretty good player at Georgia. he's back of the first round. I don't think there's any question about that. That's where he's going to go. I don't think the Eagles are going to take him. Just because I think they have, bigger issues they have to correct at that particular position. But yeah, he did have pretty poor agility grades at the combine, and then Georgia propped them up at the pro day. So take it for what you will.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, I'm going to talk about real quick. By the way, shout out the pump. There you go. Good credit from J Mac to you. John, I'm going to talk about the orders of business. Like outside of the draft, what do you think Howie has? Like, what do I want to get done this offseason before training camp comes? What's an order of business for Howie? Could be anything. Could be a contract extension. Could be Dallas Goedert. What do you think is out there right now for the Eagles left to do outside of the draft before training camp? Because, John, sorry, I was looking at the calendar. It's already March. End of April will be the draft. Then we have May to break down that. We have rookie camp, obviously, in May and stuff. Then you have June and July. July is when June is really your only down month in the NFL, and then you have July. They go back to training camp. So we're already getting there, man. I know you don't want to go there yet because you're not ready, but shoot, man, off season's already flying. What's left to do?
Oh, there's tons left to do. I mean, hey, now you're in heavy draft prep, obviously, draft mode. Obviously, they're having all the top 30 visits. That will continue throughout, mid-April. They'll have their local pro day as well, where you can bring in extra if guys are from the area, they went to college in the area, or they're from the area. You can bring them in. They don't count against your top 30 visits. So they have all that prep to do. That's the main, the NFL owners meetings are next week. So you're going to be hearing a lot of rule change stuff and all that stuff. Don't worry about the tush push that ain't getting passed. So they'll be able to tush push next year. Everybody can breathe a sigh of relief. Even though they don't have to, but I digress. You got to get Cam Jurgens extended. You got to make a decision on Dallas Goedert. Those are, probably after the draft type things. Players like a Justin Simmons, you got to wait till post-draft to get them in because they're going to make a little bit too much money and you don't want to risk another comp pick. So a lot of stuff they have to get done before training camp, but right now we're in draft prep mode. I would say it has shifted from free agency to draft prep mode. And there's an occasional, if you're down in the meetings next week, you might make a small level deal, Kendall Lamb this week, but nothing that's going to affect. And remember, Azeez Ojulari is $3.5 million. I'm talking about nothing over $3.5 million. That's the level we're talking. We're still talking 1-year deals, but those guys, the Justin Simmons of the world, ain't signing until after the draft because of that reason, whether it's here or anywhere else for the most part.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, Dallas Goedert's obviously one of the things. Cam Jurgens is out there. Jalen Hurts. You don't think a Jalen Hurts contract reworking would come this year?
That could happen at any point. I mean, that, like I said, there's levers in that contract where they can just move money and basically give them the money up front for cap space if they need the cap relief. That's always at their disposal. That's not a big deal. That kind of stuff, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding on that kind of stuff. That's how they build the contracts. As far as what they've done with Lane Johnson and Saquon Barkley and adding years, I don't think they're at that point yet. But as far as moving money around to create cap space if they need to do something else, that's easy. That's they don't even need Jalen's permission for that kind of stuff. The way they build it into the contracts, and that'll be just him getting more of his money up front, so they can convert it into a roster bonus, and by that they could spread it out over the remaining years of the contract. But right now he's under contract through 2028. And then you have the void years on top of it. Yeah, I think there's no need. You still got 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any need to go about.
You know how
other
agents,
than
you know how agents are though, J-Mac.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, that's one of the things you have to take into account if you're Howie Roseman as well. You know, he talks about this all the time. Why didn't you extend Milton Williams during the season? Well, he was trying to extend him before the season, during the season. But again, Milton was betting on himself. During the season, we said this a couple times. It's like it becomes more difficult to extend people when you're good. And by that, he means, well, if I extend this guy and I don't extend this guy, you're like, what didn't I do? You know, so if you extend Milton Williams, you got to extend Zach Bond. You got to extend blah, blah, blah in season. So Howie's like, you don't want to do that when you're really good, because the last thing you want to do is create friction. And money will create friction. And if somebody gets extended and somebody else doesn't, there's a chance that the somebody else who doesn't takes it the wrong way, is basically his philosophy.
Right.
Same thing, though, and not nearly as paramount in season when things are going on, but other players saw what they did with Saquon Barkley and said, well, why, you know, if you're going to him early, why not go to me early? You went really early with AJ. Why don't you go to me really early?
Right.
If you want real, same type of thing. That's what makes this job difficult. I mean, so yeah, I mean, could Nicole Lynn say, hey, look at what these quarterbacks are making now, and that's Jalen's agent. Let's get them up to a higher level. Yeah, I guess it's possible, but that would have to come, I would think, from their end more than the Eagles' end.
Yep. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Good stuff. We talked about the draft a lot in the show today. The one thing I want to look at, John, is, you know, what are you right now? What do you think the strengths of the Eagles are after the purge that's happened? Not the purge. Maybe that's the wrong word. But you've lost a lot of guys. Let's be real here on the number one overall defense.
You lost really good defensive tackle, really good defensive end.
Yeah, and I think Steele has been dogging me on one big point too. Everybody's sleeping on you. Lose depth guys. Depth guys play a big role. Fred Johnson had 500-plus snaps last year. Isaiah Rodgers. I mean, Oren Burks played great. And we've talked about it here on the show as well, but he's been dogging me on it, and I think he's right. I mean, you don't only have to replace starters, but replacing depth guys is tough to do as well.
Well, yeah, but, you know, that's where evaluation comes into it. Like, I think people don't get, like, you don't pay depth guys what Oren Burks got. You don't pay depth guys what Isaiah Rodgers got.
Right.
So you could be Fred Johnson, you know, I got a kick out of it. Well, how do you know Fred didn't get
right? They could be right on the evaluation, but then they still have to get it right now to replace.
Yeah. So the standpoint is they don't think Isaiah Rodgers. A lot of people disagree with them. A lot of fans disagree with them. They say Isaiah was ahead of Kelee Ringo, so Isaiah is better than Kelee Ringo. Well, the Eagles think, they project. It's not about what you were; it's about where you're going. They project that Kelee Ringo is going to be a starting corner. That means Isaiah Rodgers is going to be a backup, and you don't pay a backup corner what Isaiah Rodgers got from the Minnesota Vikings. Oren Burks, same thing. They think that Kobe Dean's going to be back. That makes him a backup linebacker. You don't pay backup linebacker. Hell, the Eagles didn't pay starting linebackers for many years as much as Oren Burks got. You don't pay backup linebackers that, and they have Jeremiah Trotter Jr. That's sort of the conversation. Arguably, they got better at swing tackle. I mean, Kendall Lamb's a better player than now. He's older, you know, but he's better if he's healthy. Now, that's part of it as well. because he had back surgery. They have 2 offensive linemen who have back surgery, but and we'll see how that affects Cam as well. But if he's healthy, he's better. Started a lot of games in this league, and he played at a pretty effective level for Miami as late as last season before he got hurt. So, from their standpoint, they probably think they got a little bit better. And then they have all the upside of the young guys, and they might draft a tackle, yada, yada. So all of it, again, it's not about the moment. I know people like to get in the moment and say, this is a bad decision. Well, it's not a bad decision if you have your personnel.
I don't think they were bad decisions. I just think, you now have to fix them, or you now have to address it and have a good plan to sustain what you built.
Well, and that's the thing about the Eagles. They always have a plan. You don't have to worry about that. Now, again, the evaluation can be wrong. They got wrong with Bryce Huff. They didn't get much wrong last year, but they got that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be right 100% of the time, but that doesn't mean you say, I mean, that's not how you do things. You say, well, I believe in Kaylee Ringo, so Isaiah Rodgers has got to go. That's, that you have to have confidence in yourself to make the right decision. They probably earned the rope that they should be given that, and they might be wrong, and Rodgers might be a starter in Minnesota. He might have a great season, yada, yada, yada. Any of this can happen. But I think if you look at all the moves that they've done, they make sense from the standpoint of where they're going. Doesn't mean it's good to lose good players. But I don't think it's funny because the 2 best players they lost by far, well, you could throw Mekhi into the conversation. So I'll go 3 because Mekhi meant so much to this team specifically. That's the one guy I say, you know what? He gave them something they didn't have. And they have the best offensive line in football. And I think they'll have the best offensive line in football again. And if not, it'll certainly be number 2 or number 3. But he gave them something different. Just the size and the power. And that became their identity. And I think he was a big part of it. I really do. Now, I don't know how long it would have lasted because of his size and his health and all that. But boy, considering the money he got, I think it would have been worth bringing him back. That's the one decision I question, at least a little bit, because I thought he brought something to the team that they didn't have. The 2 best players, unquestionably, though, that they lost are Milton Williams and Josh Sweat.
Yeah.
And nobody even cares because they understand it, because they got paid so much money.
So you're saying it's basically the same thing at the backups. It's just to a lesser extent from the contracts and stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, Isaiah Rodgers ain't Milton Williams,
Yeah.
Oren Burks ain't Josh Sweat, it's like they didn't lose impactful pieces. They had impactful runs. But they lost 2, arguably 3 impactful pieces. And I probably think more of Mekhi than most. It's just for the reasons I gave you. So that's it. And I think everybody understands why they lost at least 2 of them. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to be as good at defensive tackle opposite Jalen Carter.
If you draft Walter Nolan, you will be.
I don't think it will be.
Well, it's not guaranteed.
You got to develop the player, even rookies. I mean, you could say Quinn again, and people go, "Well, Quinion." All right, keep counting on that. It's going to take him time to develop. Walter Nolan, it might be better 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. Probably won't be better. Milton was really good. I doubt. Other than the kid from Michigan, I don't know if anybody's ever going to develop into.
That's mostly how it is in the draft.
Yeah. And then same thing with Josh Sweat. Really, really good player for long, consistent can do both things, can play the run, can set the edge, can rush the passer, you're not going to be as good next year. If you're able to get an Ezra Rocco, if you're able to get a Stewart, you might even be splasher in moments, but you're probably not going to be as good. But that's every Super Bowl team. And you got to get better in other places to make up for it. And that's a possibility as well. And young guys will develop. Some of them will develop. And who knows? We might be talking about Kaylee Ringo as a Pro Bowl cornerback 2 years down the road because he's got everything you need.
Right.
Might be talking about Sidney Brown. I could see him catching fire. You never know when these guys are going to hit. I didn't think Milton Williams was going to turn into Milton Williams last year. But by the end, he was a pretty freaking dominant player. So guys are going to get better. Guys are going to get worse. But when you lose good players like that, at least for the short term, you're probably not going to be as good right away.
We'll see how they respond to all of these things. Great draft talk today. Great little final little discussion on the offseason there as we prep now 28 days from the NFL draft. So looking forward to that kicking off. John, I want to get your final thoughts on the show. Before I do that, I got one question off football. I meant to ask you this because I've been craving your take on this because you would know it much better than me. And it's back to LeBron James and his comment. You might not have heard the whole interview, but he made a comment about Giannis being able to score 250 points in the 70s. And I thought of you because I'm like, John was a big basketball fan, obviously knows basketball in the 70s a lot better than I do. I was born in 98 for crying out loud. But your thoughts on that comment? Like, is that just LeBron? Like, you know,
what did he say?
He said, you know, they were talking about the different eras.
Yeah.
And he brought up, like, people say I couldn't play in any era. I could play in any era. Giannis would have 250 points in the 70s, is what he said, kind of insinuating we could all play in the 70s.
Oh, I get it. I thought he was
like,
dissing.
Athletes are all getting better.
I thought he was
so disrespectful to the guys.
It is. Well, here's why. Because I like to call it the time machine game, and by that I mean the athletes are better today. There's no doubt. So if you take LeBron James of now,
right,
and put him in the game of the 70s, yes, they would all dominate that game. Yeah, they would all dominate those games.
Yeah, LeBron could definitely play. I'm not one of those people who say he couldn't play.
Yeah, they because look. They make millions of dollars. I always joke about Derrick Henry. He spends $750,000 a year to take care of his body. Well, in the 70s, if you were playing football, you'd have to sell insurance in the offseason.
Yeah, right, the offseason.
So if you're going to play the time machine game, my whole take has always been it's got to work both ways. So if somebody with the genetics of Wilt Chamberlain was born in this era with those same genetics, he would have the same advantages.
Right. It's a great take.
So that's why I always say just evaluate people in their era. And if they were great in their era against other great players, they would be great in any era if you're playing the time machine game. But for whatever reason, people only think it works one way. Well, I'm going to take LeBron James, who can hire his own chef and has all these travels and first class, and I'm going to put him in the 70s where he has none of that.
Right.
That's not fair. And the same thing, Wilt is a guy who was so much genetically better. So if you're starting at the same position with Wilt Chamberlain 50, 60 years later, where he's just genetically starting ahead of everybody else.
Right.
Just like
Given
John.
The same advantages of today, it looks different.
Exactly. He would be the same dominant monster that he was in his era. And for whatever reason, people can't. That's why I say and football, it's even greater because the game has completely changed. We were talking about greatest quarterbacks of all time. And I said, if you're in the conversation, that's it for me. But if you ask me personally, and you pinned me down yesterday, and I said Montana, because to me it was more difficult to play the position in his era. Now they protect quarterbacks and everything, and it's just it's not their fault, but it was a lot harder for him to play.
Right.
And you could try both ways, but the point of all the athletes are better now. Duh. But you can't play the time machine game one way. If they were born in 1950, they wouldn't have the same advantages to take advantage of their genetical gifts. As I said with Derrick Henry.
Right.
When you're selling insurance in the offseason, you can't spend $750,000 on your body.
By the way, another thing you would get a kick out of, as you say those numbers, LeBron cracked up at Pat McAfee asked him about how there's that rumor that's existed forever that LeBron spends $1 million on his body. He was like, I don't know where the fuck that number came from. He was like, yeah, I take care of my body. Obviously, I invest a lot into my body, but I don't know where the $1 million came from that everybody has been talking about for years. I got a kick out of that.
Well, I think people like LeBron, and I've said I like LeBron. I think people give him too much shit. But I mean, I guarantee he's got his own freaking chef. I guarantee you. He probably spends more than that and doesn't even know it.
Right. Yeah. There's no doubt. I'm not saying he doesn't spend it. I just got a kick out of his response to the number that was created out of thin air.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, people make up numbers.
Yeah, people make up.
I mean, the only reason I use Derrick Henry, that's what he said. Like anybody else, that's what Derrick Henry said.
Yeah, right.
And he probably spends more than that, to be honest. Because again, I think a lot of people say, well, I spend this on my home gym, or I spend this on and they don't even think about the nutritionist and the quarterback. The person I loved the first quarterback on Netflix because it took you behind the scenes with Kirk Cousins. It's just how much he had to get ready, how much punishment he took and had to get ready from week to week, and he'd have personal massage therapists and all that. That shit's kind of pricey.
No doubt.
Regular people can't afford that. And people in the 1960s and 70s couldn't afford that, even athletes.
Yep. No doubt about it. Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. We'll close out another week tomorrow on a Football Friday edition. And I did confirm for you yesterday after the show, Wednesday will be our 1000th episode of Birds 365. So we'll do that next Wednesday. Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Birds 365.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, good stuff there from John McMullen, the #1 Eagles beat reporter in town, joining me here on Birds 365, a great Thursday edition of the show. Good conversation today. Talk some draft, talk some offseason, talk LeBron, talked a little bit of Dak Prescott rumors. Is he gone? We don't know what's happening with him. Probably nothing real there, but we talked about that. We will do a giveaway here on Zander Time. Couple of things I want to address before we do that. All right, and I'm going to start with the shit take chatter of the day. All right. That's what I'm going to start with. And yes, I'm not going to allow someone to say some bullshit. All right. Where is it? Let me find it. Where's Mr. Farmer? All right. Look at this dumbass. So we talked about the LeBron James interview, okay? I was very transparent in that moment and said, I grew up as a big LeBron fan. I'll never forget where I was. I was on my front lawn picking up sticks, putting them in a Home Depot yard bag when LeBron initially announced he was going to Miami Heat. I'll never forget that day. I was out there with my dad. We're putting sticks in a Home Depot lawn bag, cleaning up the yard in the spring or whenever it was. Might have been the fall. I don't remember whenever LeBron announced the decision. And I remember when it came down. And I was a big LeBron fan growing up. And I made a comment, during COVID in that time, I got annoyed because there was so much political, there was Black Lives Matter, there was COVID, there was all these different things. All right. And I didn't single out one thing. I just meant everything all condensed into into sports in that year. And it was too much, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. I think many people felt like it was too much. I'm not saying he was right or wrong. I'm just saying the entire thing was too much. So this dumbass makes a comment. He says, you stopped being a LeBron fan because of COVID, because he supported black people who were getting brutalized by police with no consequences. That's why you stopped liking LeBron. Now, I don't want to be rude here. I don't want to be rude, but the IQ of this person must be sub 50, because nowhere did I mention black people. Nowhere did I mention police brutality. Nowhere did I mention race in America. Nowhere did I reference any of those things. I was simply 20 years old, and I got sick of politics and sports. That's it. And LeBron was a champion of it, all right? Whether you like him or not, he was a champion of it. It drove me crazy, okay? I've always recognized what he's been able to do as a player. I've always recognized how good he was. But stop being a fucking idiot and saying dumb things like this. One, because you're clumping my name in on it, and now you're tying me to a take about race relations, black people, and police brutality, and you're putting my name next to a take that never even came out of my mouth and isn't even what I think. So, Farmer Jay, go to the corner. You're in the corner today, okay? And maybe don't come out for a while. Dumbass. Fuck you too, Farmer Jay. I mean, just a stupid-ass take. A stupid-ass take. You know, Dank says, who got brutalized by police? I don't know. That's not what I was talking about at all. But apparently, Farmer Jay took it like that, all right? I mean, you got to be kidding me. Chuck says, less volatile show today. Well, it's about to get more volatile, Chuck. It's about to get more volatile. Bud says sub 50 is legally retarded. All right, well, maybe let's go sub 80. All right, sub 80 for that dumbass. The guy who I love people, you know, who cast stones from an anonymous. That's my favorite thing in the world with the internet, all right, is people with anonymous accounts on every platform who cast stones at people who put their face, their name, their money, their livelihood, and everything behind what they say and what they do. I'll always get a kick out of that, okay? Anonymous Farmer J is now dictating my beliefs on a whole litany of things because of one sentence I made about LeBron James. Good night. Good night, Farmer J. You're on the shit list. All right? And well, Bruce says, that's a good one. Bruce says, that's why Jordan's the GOAT. His quote, Republicans buy sneakers too. But yeah, it's not even about that for me. Well, Jordan is the GOAT. But it's not about that for me. All right? Again, I'm more, as I age, I'm more with John. Where like, why did I even care about politics? I don't know. I don't know why I cared. I don't. All right? I don't give a shit who LeBron votes for. I don't give a shit who Zeal, Sig Lord, Brandon Howard, or any of you vote for. I really don't. Okay? You're people. We have different opinions. We see things differently. Everybody's opinions and life is shaped by their experiences. I think we should all be able to respect a little bit more that people have different opinions. All right. But Jordan is definitely the GOAT. And Republicans buy sneakers. Yeah, I got about 5 Jordans right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in my bag. 6 pairs of Jordans are in this room. Okay. 6 pairs of Jordans are in this office. Right here. All right. I vote for Zander. Let's go, Brandon. That's a good vote. That's a good vote. All right. Well done. Well done. Appreciate all of you guys. Appreciate all you guys being here. Checking in. Zander from Philly for Philly mayor. Maybe one day, Brandon. I don't think I'm qualified, but maybe one day. All right. Maybe one day. Sounds like their own that guy. That might be true about Farmer J. He's projecting. He's decided to project on me what he thinks. All right. Giving away Jordan's nice. A new KCA Eagle. We won't be doing that. Well, Fredo, what's up, my boy? How you doing, brother? Good to see you in here. Curry, LeBron. Well, Curry obviously changed the game, but you know, the one thing that bothers me about Curry, and he's a don't get me wrong, I love him as a player, great player. But he broke the game, man. He really did. Like we said, me and John talked about that. He broke the game of basketball. You know, kids, like I said, when I was a kid and I learned how to play ball, all right? when I was a kid and I learned how to play hoops, all right, my dad said, don't be the guy who can't go to either side with a layup. So get your left hand and shoot the ball like this 1,000 times, okay? Shoot the ball like this 1,000 times. Then don't neglect your strong hand. Do it with your right hand too, 1,000 times, 1,000 times, all right? That's what he did. That's what he taught me. And then he said, you want to learn how to shoot? Go to the free throw line. Go to the free throw line. Shoot 1,000 free throws. Now you got kids, they learn how to play ball. They're jacking up 30-footers. I'm like, guys, you're not as good as Curry. You're never going to learn how to play basketball that way. Learn the game. Learn the fundamentals. Learn how to play. So that's the one thing with Curry, man. He totally broke basketball. He really did. All right? iShine says all the kids want to do is shoot threes, not take it to the hole. Look, is that a little bit of the Curry effect? I'm not trying to criticize Curry because obviously he's one of the greatest players of all time, the best shooter in NBA history. I don't think it's relatively close. I mean, watching him is remarkable. Just the way the ball comes off his hands, unbelievable. But he broke it, didn't he? He broke it. You know, that kids come out there and Wilfredo comes out and he starts chucking triples and he goes 4 for 100. What happened, Wilfredo? What happened? Curry broke you, dog. No, you're right. Take it to the hole. I've always been a better player inside the lane, for sure. Brian Pupper says, so you're saying Curry is the most influential basketball player out of Akron, Ohio. Close your ears, Farmer J. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I love Curry's big deal, but come on, LeBron. I mean, look, this is the one thing that bothers me about LeBron. Because I understand both sides. I understand people who like him, understand people who don't like him. I told you, I didn't like him for a time because I was like, oh, I'm so annoyed with the politics. And that's when remember, this is the other thing about that 2020 period. Again, I said, whatever side of the aisle you fell on, it was too much for some people. You turned on football, it was all over. You turned on it was everywhere. That time in the country was a polarizing time, annoying time, I thought. All right, it pissed me off with LeBron. Again, I already told you I was 20 years old and I don't really care anymore. All right, I respect what he does as a player. But you can love LeBron, you can hate LeBron. You got to be able to recognize how good of a player. I mean, come on, man, how good of a player he is. I mean, 22 years now, still dominating. Like, come on, man. I mean, look, you don't have to like him, but shit, you got to respect the talent. It's like Tom Brady. You might not like Tom Brady. You might not like Patrick Mahomes. You respect what they do. LeBron's pretty unbelievable when it comes to that. Jordan's still the GOAT, but LeBron's pretty close. All right? LeBron's pretty close. Let me get some comments in here. I'm doing a giveaway today. I'll be giving something to Farmer J. I think I know who Farmer J is on Twitter. The funniest part about Farmer J is I think I know who it is on Twitter. And he's an anon with a completely different name on Twitter. All right? And it's funny. The way I've put the two together is I always crack up. People type the same way. So he types in here these dumbass comments. And a lot of times he comments after the shows. And he types these dumbass comments. And then I see him on Twitter. And he says the exact same thing on Twitter. And with a different name, a different picture, and a different account. So crack it up. I always crack up at that. All right, this one we can agree on. G.I. Zoe says, Xander, fuck Joel, limping Embiid, soft ass, most overrated player in NBA history. G.I. Zoe, I'm not going to defend Joel Embiid. You know, I told you I grew up, I was a major Sixers fan. I used to argue with my dad about this left and right. Stop, Dad, you're wrong. The process is great. We got Ben, we got Joel, we got Markelle Fultz, where it's going to work out. I used to go to so many games. I remember the game I went to on Christmas Day. I think I have a picture of, I got really good seats from the station. The station gave us tickets for free because it was Christmas Day. I don't think many people wanted them, honestly. Christmas Day game. And I'm sitting, I think I was like second or third row behind. Let me find the picture because I have a picture of Antetokounmpo's back on my phone, I think. The jersey. He was sitting right in front of me. I'd have to find it in my library, which might take a while. I don't want to do that. But I loved basketball, and I thought the Sixers were doing the right thing. My dad told me the whole time, man. He said the whole time, process is a joke. He said Boston will rebuild and be back, and they never even went through a process. Well, he was right. Pops was right. Pops was right. All right. Spurs broke basketball. You're not wrong about that. Classic, though. Fundamentals, baby. I love fundamentals. Is there any way he can come back great? I don't see. You talking about Embiid? No. Embiid's done. Embiid's done. Our the Embiid era in Philly is done. It's over. It might not be over officially yet, but we will never, ever, ever win an NBA championship with Joel Embiid. Never. Not even it won't not even close. All right. Not even freaking close. I really want to find this picture because those seats were sick. I'd love to show you guys those seats. All right. And that was when we had Ben and Joel, and it was like, oh, everybody in Philly, the games were all sold out. I mean, everybody thought, if we get flagged, I'll be pumped, Carly. Let's go get Cooper flag, baby. Let's do it. All right. Let's do it. Where are we? See, I told you guys I'm reviving my Sixers fan, but it's hard to do so in the middle of a year when they're tanking. Where are we in the draft? Does it look like we'll have a good lottery pick? Fire Morey. Daryl Morey is maybe the most overrated general manager in all of professional sports, not just basketball. Like I've never seen somebody get gassed up for like literally the same shit. Like he goes to a new team. He trades for James Harden. He does the same stuff over and over again. He's known for his flashy trades, and he doesn't build champions. You know, the one thing that bothers me, and I saw a couple of you guys talking about hockey in the chat, and I think this it's not the same in basketball, but you can equate the two, what I'm about to say here. I saw somebody talking about they fired John Tortorella. Newsflash, if you're a Flyers fan, you know John Tortorella was not the problem. And if you think John Tortorella was the problem, then I got a beachfront property to sell you in Idaho, all right? Because that's stupid. They've sucked for 20 years, all right? They haven't won since what, the 70s? Get a goaltender. Scapegoat another coach. Go, oh, see you, it's all Torch's fault. He's mean to the media. No, it's not Torch's fault. They didn't build a team. All right? I agree with this. He wasn't the solution. Torch is not the guy you want to rebuild with. Torch is more of a transitional coach, but he was not the problem. Again, wow, both of you guys said the exact same thing. But he wasn't the solution. Wow, that's crazy. Did you guys like colluding and text messages over there? You said the exact same thing, word for word. But I agree with both of you. There's another one from Joe Whip. No, I agree with that, but I'm saying, like, it's not Torts. And then you go to basketball, and it's like, why don't any people value the camaraderie of a team and the way a team meshes? Like, that's the number one thing in hockey. The number one thing in hockey is not to have the best players. It took Ovechkin 13 years or whatever it was to win a Stanley Cup. Hockey is not about all the best players. It's about building a team that is a unit that plays for one. And then the other thing you need is you need a goaltender. If you can't stop the puck, you can't win. If your goalie can stop the puck and you can put together a team, if your team plays complementary hockey, if players play for one another, you have a better chance. All right. You have a much better chance. You got to have a team that's bought in hockey. You got to, exactly, Zeal. Exactly. That's why one of the reasons I love that story so much. All right. People say that about hockey. That's one of the best things hockey has going for it is that there's always going to be parity because any team can win in the Stanley Cup. Any team can win. All right. Just because you're the one seed. Remember the Blues who won a couple of years ago? They were like last in the NFL in halfway through the NHL or NFL. I said NHL. They were last in the NHL halfway through the year. Craig Berube was their head coach. He got them playing. They got hot at the right time. They bought into the process. They got great goaltending from Jordan Binnington, and they won the Stanley Cup. But there was a process. There was a building period. You have to let it breathe. All right? Yes, it is. Zeal, you're talking. I was a goalie, brother. Believe me, I know. All of my years playing hockey, I played hockey for 17 years of my life. All of my years playing hockey as a goalie for most of them, all right, I knew going into playoff games, if I don't play well, it doesn't matter what the rest of my team does. We don't have a shot. We don't have a shot at winning. We don't have a chance. And even if I do play great, that doesn't mean we're going to win. I don't know why. I think so much of that is left out. And I think the Eagles have done a great job at that, Howie, of keeping the culture. You know, you got to keep a culture. I think you got to keep a team that has some semblance of unity. But Bumper says hockey talk making me on. I hear you, Pump. I'm just talking about I know it's hockey, but I'm talking about sports as a whole here. I mean, Hasek, no. Brodeur is best goaltender of all time. Better than Patrick Waugh. You know, don't even tell me otherwise. All right? All right? Don't tell me otherwise. Does Philly still have an NHL team? Yeah, I was never a Flyers fan growing up because I was a goalie. I loved Martin Brodeur. And then I told you, my brother and my dad are both Rangers fans. So when Brodeur hung them up, you know, they recruited me. And I never liked the Flyers because I was a goalie. Think about it. I was a goalie. The Flyers, who has handled goaltenders worse than the Flyers? They had Bobrovsky and Brizgalov. They're still paying Brizgalov. Meanwhile, Bobrovsky, what's he have, 3 rings later? Oh, my God. Yeah, the Flyers pissed me off when I was young, man. I did not like the Flyers when I was a kid because they drove me crazy. Marc-Andre Fleury, what a great goaltender. Another guy, even Pittsburgh, moved on from him too quick. Thought they could go with the young hand. What did Marc-Andre do? Went and won a cup. Patrick Waugh was a beast, no doubt. I'm not taking away from him, but I got Marty. I got Marty. Give me Marty, baby. All right, let's talk some football, and then we'll do a giveaway. All right, we will do a giveaway here. Phillies kicking off today. I'm excited for that. All right, I'm excited for that. I always root for the Phils, my NL team. See what the Phils can do. Well, here's the thing with this, Shady. You can say you start talking about Brodeur. I will talk hockey all day. Wilfredo, don't play with me. I'm telling you right now, Wilfredo. If I didn't play hockey growing up, I'd have been a hooper. All right, hockey's very time consuming though. When you play hockey as a kid, man, it's your life. You eat, sleep, and breathe it. 3 practices a week and then games Saturday, Sunday. Shout out to my mom and dad for always getting me to practice 3 times a week. And I didn't play 10 minutes away. We played 45, 55, 60 minutes, 75 minutes away. Jersey, upstate Jersey, playing in Red Bank, playing in Pennsauken, playing in Mercer County, all over the place. Hockey's a tough one, man. Not to mention expensive, no doubt. It was a grind, no doubt. Shady says Brodeur was great. I say Hasek because Brodeur had a better defense. Well, Shady, I want to ask you something. Why did Brodeur have a better defense? And I'm not saying this is the only reason, but why? What was one of the reasons that Brodeur had a better defense on all of his teams? Well, I know they had Scott Stevens, they had great players. I understand that. I'm not taking away from those players. One of my favorite parts about Martin Brodeur was the way he handled the puck. Okay? He was a third defenseman on the ice at all times. And people will say, oh, that's crazy talk. No, it's not. Believe me, I played goal. The way he played goaltender, the way he used his stick, the way he cleared the zone, the way he did those intra things in game, it made their life a lot easier. I'm not saying that's not the only reason they had good defense. They had great players. The style, you bring up the style. Scott Stevens, obviously an unbelievable player. But Martin Brodeur was the best goalie I've ever seen at handling the puck. Calmly, very rarely made a mistake. Got the puck out of the zone, which is one of the hardest things to do. You got a whole forecheck coming at you. You got to clear that puck. Got to get the puck out of the zone. Chip. Get it out of the zone. You don't get it out of the zone, you got trouble. Marty got it out of the zone. Yeah, Brian, I didn't want to bring that up. All right. I didn't want to bring that up, Brian. All right. I didn't want to bring that up. My mom used to say that to me. She's like, why are you a Brodeur fan? I'm like, I love Brodeur. All right. But good stuff. Good stuff, Shady. Appreciate you being here, brother. I didn't want to bring that up, and Fleming brought it up. Let's see what Joe Webb says about the Phillies this year. Let's see. Phillies have a flawed lineup and a shitty bullpen. The rotation is great, but not enough. I'm not a fan of the bullpen. And the lineup is flawed because, in my estimation, we went into the offseason, I'm like, get rid of Kyle Schwarber. Like, he's a good player. We don't need him in this lineup. Why do you have Kyle Schwarber leadoff? What the fuck are we doing? Why do we try and defy the game sometimes? What? Get a guy on base. You have the perfect leadoff hitter in Trey Turner, and you have Kyle Schwarber? Why? Because I saw Slager bring this up the other day. Why? Because the analytics say if you get him up to bat more, there's a bigger chance to change the game. Bullshit. If you're not in enough games, then that doesn't matter. Put Trey Turner at leadoff. Let Bryce Harper be the 3 or the 4 in the lineup. You have enough hitters in that lineup to have a good lineup. Where you're right, Joe, is it's flawed because of Schwarber. I think Schwarber is the biggest flaw in the lineup. Yeah, but Shady, even if you put him 4th, now you have a little bit of redundancy in the lineup. That's the problem with Schwarber at 4. That's why I said I would have been open to moving Kyle Schwarber because he's not particularly the guy you needed. Exactly. I wanted a small ball hitter. Now, Trey Turner was supposed to be that. He hasn't lived up to the contract. Okay? He hasn't lived up to the contract. But you're right. Too many sluggers, not enough small ball. Again, even with Schwarber at 4, I don't love it. I'd rather have Harper at 4, I think. And then move on from Schwarber and bring me another guy that can get on base. Yeah, no, I got you, Slager. I got you. I'm going to emoji on baseball. I'm on power hitters and lady with guys on. All I did was post a reason. No, I think you're right. I think you're right about the reason, Slager. I didn't mean to clump you in. More was criticizing the reason than you. But no, you're right. I think you're right. I think that's why they do Schwarber at 1. And I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I really don't. I don't. Is Turner leading off today? Good. Come on, Topper. Stick to it, brother. Come on, man. You got to do something different this year. All right? Turner's got to stop with this, Jason. I heard this too. All right? He wants home runs. Stop. You're the fastest guy in the MLB. Get on base. Play a little bit of the odds. You got great. You're telling me a Trey Turner. If I was Trey Turner, I would approach every single at bat is all I want to do is get on that first base bag. That's it. If I get more, great. All I want to do is get on first base. If I get on first base to start off the game or to start off an inning or whenever the case may be, and I have guys like Bohm and Schwarber and Bryce Harper and Castellanos and even Bryson Stott, who at times can be a good small ball hitter, I believe in those guys to put the bat on the ball and advance me on the bags. I'll steal a base here and there, and we'll get runs. But is it the hitting coach? Like, why do they all have this approach? Drives me nuts. Yeah, the modern Phillies have been driving me more and more nuts recently. All right. Driving me more and more nuts. I don't know. It must be a philosophy thing because they all like Trey Turner was not a home run hitter, a slugger in Washington or in LA. I don't get it. Yes. Home runs way overrated. Need disciplined bats in the playoffs. 100% Joe Whip. Pitcher's too good. Joe Whip, 100%. Joe Whip knows what's going on with the Phillies. Joe Whip is spot on. Doesn't surprise me that the guys with experience in life know what's going on here. All right, I know Shady, Joe Whip, Slager, my boy Philly Don. Come on, man. Come on. All right, we're going to do a giveaway. I kicked it around for 30 minutes on everything but football. Hopefully you guys are all good with that. I waited till 10 o'clock to do it because I know our Birds 365 listening audience likes the football talk. Don't worry. We'll always give you guys the football talk. But, I'm just getting started in my career. I think there's a lot of ways in which I'll go. I don't think I'll be hamstrung to football only my whole life. I love all of sports, and I'd love to talk about all of them with you guys. I know this isn't the perfect platform to do that, but I don't know shit about baseball. See, Abe, growing up, I told you basketball was my favorite sport. My dad's favorite sport was baseball, man. My dad loves baseball. So I always watched baseball with my pops, and my dad's got a great eye for baseball, man. My dad knows baseball. He really does. He knows baseball. So I've always watched games with him, man. It's one of my favorite things to do is watch sports with my dad. And he's a big baseball guy. Big baseball guy. So baseball and basketball, that's what my dad played. And my dad, to his credit, he's 5'11". And when my dad played basketball as a kid, he didn't play college or anything, but he was very good in high school. He was a center at 5'11". And I used to say, Dad, what the fuck you mean you were a center? You're not tall. You're not big. And he's like, fundamentals, baby. I boxed people out. They didn't even want to be on the court with me because I was so aggressive in the way I boxed them out. Fundamentals, get the boards, box people out, play defense. Love that. Here we go. Let's get back into some football. All right. I love baseball too, Dankberg, and it's a great game. It really is a great game, man. It's a great game. Extra innings with Big Joe. What we're thinking about doing is, Bob, I'm going to do some 2 minutes. We'll do a couple, like a version of the 2-minute drill, but for post Phillies game. So I'm not right now. I don't have the manpower or really the financial wherewithal to expand and launch a baseball show, but we can do that, and we're going to do that. So we want to cover it a little bit more, but obviously the Eagles are always going to be our bread and butter. The Eagles are always going to be our bread and butter. All right, but I like that. It's a good show name. Extra innings with Big Joe. It's actually Bob Brown. We might use that on the 2-minute thing. All right, because we're doing one tonight. We'll watch the game. I think it's 4:05, which is tough for me because obviously I'm working. We got Cilio on there. I'll probably be on the show at 4:00. So, but I'll have it on in the studio. I'll be watching it. But all right, good stuff. Tony C, appreciate you being here, my guy. What's up, Tony? The Joe and Bob old guy show. There you go. All right, you working free of charge? Let's go. I'll bring you in. Yeah, Cal should be on everybody's. He was a little bit before obviously I remember when I was young, but yeah, he's Harry Callis, obviously a legend. All right, what should we do away today? I'm doing one giveaway. We'll do 2 tomorrow. I'm going to do the same thing. All right, I got the box of shirts over here. I got the box of Super Bowl shirts. All right, looking forward to giving all that out. Xander, got to get you some powder blue. I got the powder blue. I saw Joe Whipp say, hey, where's the red Kango? No, I got the red Kango. I don't want to go red because I like the red shirt. All right, so I got the red Kango, but I didn't rock it today. I could go powder blue, though. Actually, that's a good idea. Where's my powder blue? Oh, here it is. I got 2 powder blues. I go powder blue with the red shirt for Ultimate Phillies. Which one's better? They're the same, I guess. Let's go with the dark one. I like the black Phillies hat. I'm not going to lie. Oh, yeah. Now I got Phillies. Actually, I think this one would be better with the white. Yeah, baby. Now we got the powder blue and the red. This is Phillies right here. I got royal blue. Dude, I got like, are you kidding me on blues, Joe? Here's 1. Here's 2. Here's a 3rd blue. Here's a 4th blue. Slightly different. Here's a 5th blue. That's kind of a blue, more of a green. And another blue here. And then a navy blue. Joe, please. Don't get me started, Joe. Look at all these blues. Navy blue. Starry blue. Light blue. Surf blue. Denim blue. Oh, this is purple. I picked up the wrong one. No, that's not purple. That's like blue, too. It's like a purplish blue. But I got enough blues. All right? All right, I got enough freaking blues. I promise you, I got enough blues over here. All right, we're going to do, no, I don't have those, Dirty Air. No, Slagger, I need them to do I need a deal. I need a partnership with Kango. All right, I got people buying Kangos. I got people buying Kangos. My boy Philly Don's rocking a Kango. I'm like, yo, Kango, where's my sponsorship? I've only spent $1,000 on your site. Let me get some sponsorship. I mean, I got more blues than anybody, and Joe's saying I need another blue. I think I'm blued out. I got so many blue Kangos. I don't know. I'm going colorblind over here. All right. Zangos. I like that, Brandon. I like that. All right, good stuff. Let's do this giveaway. All right, I'm sorry I'm keeping you too long. I don't like keeping long right now because I got to get these podcasts posted up. Our podcast has been killing it. So if you guys are a podcast, any podcast listeners listening on YouTube right now? Any podcast listeners that check in over here? You have enough blue, they'll call you Dallas fan. I don't give a shit what they call me. You can't put me in a box. How many times I got to tell people that? You can't put me in a box. Green and black, Jacob Kang. I've never been a fan of the custom logos. No, not on YouTube. All right. Yeah, cool. Cool. Got some podcast listeners. Yeah, checking out where I'm not talking about listening here. This is I know it's a podcast, but you watch live or you listen to the show after on YouTube. I'm talking about like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon like all those other Android, if you're an Android user, whatever you use. All right. Okay, Devin says I always listen on podcasts. Nice, Devin. Make sure you leave a review over there, bro. It really helps us out for the podcast. So thank you, bro. You need more pink and reds. I see that. Spotify, good stuff, Tony. Thank you, bro. All right, let me pull up this. This is a podcast. Hungry. So this is a platform, but like this is YouTube. You're watching on YouTube. So it's still a podcast, but podcast is like the audio only version on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. So you might be getting old. I'm not sure how old you are, Hungry, but I know, man. There's so many Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, podcast, YouTube. I mean, believe me, I am platformed out as well. I promise that I am platformed out as well. I hate leaving. I don't like leaving empty hooks. All right, I don't like leaving empty hooks. Let me get these Kangos up on the wall. All right, here we go. Fire up the picker. Let me do it. Let me fire up the picker. Checking in from Scotland. Let's go. Checking in from Scotland. Look at that, man. All right. Checking in from Scotland. Big up, Xander. Keep up the good work. Listen religiously all week. My man, I appreciate you, brother. Shout out to you from Scotland. We got listeners all over the world. I'm always grateful for that, Hail X2. That's pretty cool. I'm sitting here right outside the city of brotherly love, the beautiful city of brotherly love, and I got my boy checking in from Scotland listening to me right now. I always think about that sometimes. I'm like, damn, that is cool as hell. People in Scotland are listening to me. Why? I love you, brother. I appreciate you, man. All right. Angela says, constantly wearing a hat, going to go ball. Angela, I don't know if you're new here or what, but this hair ain't got much life left, and I'm 26. Imagine when I'm 30 or 32. All right. This hair is done. It's gone. You can kiss it goodbye, Angelo. I am not trying to keep this hair around. I don't care, though. It's hair. I don't give a shit. It's hair. Doesn't bother me. It's hair. It is what it is. All right, let me pull up this picker. I know I've said it 100 times. You guys distract me. You guys are a very distracting bunch. All right, here we go. All right, we'll do a giveaway winner. This is a regular giveaway for all members. So if you're a member, giveaway for SB merch. Regular member winner today. I like hair. I'll be pissed when I lose it. All right, good for you. You can like hair. I don't give a shit about it. I don't give a shit about it. And like I can't change it, And so you sound like my mother. Don't get rid of it. Do something to try and keep it. Do oils and I'm like, what? I'm putting oil in my hair every night to try and grow it. It's gone. My dad's bald. My grandfather was bald. I'm going to be bald. I love who I am. I love my genetics. And I don't try and change them. I embrace them. Okay? I embrace them. I hope you all do the same. Now, I was thinking of I heard not heard for the first time, but I heard a quote this week. Okay. I heard a quote this week and I want to share it with you all. All right. And it's nothing, it might probably won't resonate with most people, but I think it will resonate with some people. And it's a popular quote. You've probably heard it before in your life. There's religious ties to it as well. It's probably, it's a Bible verse, but I heard this thing and I loved that. And I loved it. I've heard it before, but again, it's just hit me good after what's going on with, last year has been a big journey for us here at JAKIB. But any weapon formed against me shall not prosper. All right. I want you all to remember that. If you do right by people and you're a good person in the world and you believe you do things the right way, I want you to remember that quote. All right. Remember that quote for me. Any weapon formed against me shall not prosper. I love that quote. All right, let me share this thing with you. Oh, come on. Now I use Google Chrome, so I gotta allow Chrome. Psalms, yes, sir, Shady. Well done. Damn. All right, give me a second. Give me a second, because it wants me to quit Chrome in order for me to share the screen. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. I miss you, James Jones. Where have you been, brother? Where have you been? All right, let me do this. Give me a sec. All right, I'm here. I'm here. My bad. We ever get that custom-made picker? You got to ask Curtis, man. He made one. All right. All right, here we go. I only use Catholic Bibles. Sorry, Sig Lord. All right, here we go. All right, here's our names. 350 members. All right. That is pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. So thanks all you guys for sticking around, for being members. Caleb, my boy Caleb. Caleb, good to see you, bro. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying the offseason, getting ready for summer. Be safe out there. Appreciate you, bro. Good to see you in here. Good to see you in here. All right, 350. Thank you all. James Jones, you're probably on here, brother. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't be. You're right there, right at the top, James. Chip Snyder, my boy, won last week. I shipped his giveaway out yesterday. All right. All right. Brandon Howard's on here. Boulevard, my boy Boulevard, flexing in step. I haven't seen Flex in a bit, but I know he's out there listening. I know he's just been busy. Talk to him a little bit. Start. You guys ready? Nah, you're there, James. Don't worry. All right. I'm happy people got my Bible verse. Isaiah 54, verse 17. Love it. Peaceful warriors, Z. Tony, I'm not always peaceful. I promise you that. All right. The quote of the day. Any weapon formed against all of us shall not prosper, baby. All right, confirm. Let's do this. 1 shuffle. 2 shuffles. 3 shuffles. Start. Come on. Come on, baby. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ian East. My boy Ian. I hope he's here. He's going to cost me a lot of money in shipping, but I'll send it to him. Come on, Ian. Ian's in UK. Ian's in the UK. Okay? Ian's in the UK. Is he here? I will happily spend the shipping cost to send it to him. Ian, where you at, Ian? El Yepa says, next. Where's Flex? I need to get him out of here. James Jones, you're my get him out of here with Flex's, with Flex being gone. There's Ian East. Look at him on Twitter. Come on, Ian. 3 strikes, you're out. Get him out. All right, Philly Don's going to be the designated get him out of here guy. Yo, Z, can you check my name? I'll check for you, Devin. I'm pretty sure you're on there because you still got the logo next to your name for being a member. Park, my boy Park. What's up, Park? Here we go. Ian, you're done. Sorry, brother. Let me check my boy Devin. There's Devin Parker. Boom. Yeah, I know. I've sent many of things overseas. It's a pain in the ass. All right. Who else wanted me to look? Anybody else wanted me to look? All right. Big thanks to all of you guys for being members on JAKIB. Goes a long way. So thank you. Check Deep Fried. I'll check Deep Fried. Is Deep Fried still a member? I don't think they are. They're not. They're not. I saw they were in the chat the other day, Brian. They weren't a member, though. So they're not on the list. See you, Deep Fried. Confirm. 1 shuffle. 2 shuffles. 3 shuffles. Let's go. Fuck him, Brian. Any weapon formed against us shall not prosper. See you, Deep Fried. 2, 1. Brian Bumper! Oh, my God. I might nix this giveaway. I said there's a Saquon Barkley jersey sitting at his house. The guy's never even got it. A banger. A banger Saquon Barkley jersey. Pumper, are you out there? Pumper, are you out there? Yo. Yeah, he left for the hockey talk. That's right. The hockey talk cost him. It cost him. Good. I loved the hockey talk today. I will find the hockey fans in Birds 365, and we will talk some hockey. Ball don't lie. Get him out of here. All right, Pump. You're done. Nah, he was here today, Devin. What do you mean? He had super chats today. Look, he had a super chat 10:16. That was 34 minutes ago. All right. No such thing as the LeBron. Actually, I didn't read this. No such thing as the LeBron era. Went from Jordan, Kobe to Curry? Come on, Brian. That is so fake news. Dude, LeBron dominated the NBA headlines. Come on, man. That is a fake news comment. That's a fake news comment. All right, Pump is done. I love Pump. You guys think I hate Pump. I love Pumper. You guys are a big supporter of the channel. I know it's all fun and games, but seriously, that stuff goes a long way, man. He contributes a lot to this program, man. Yeah, it helps us. Every super, I say it to you all the time. Like, super chats really help us. Okay? They really help us. They really keep us alive. Help keep us alive. So big thanks to all of you guys for doing it. Start. Pumper, you're done. Confirm. 1 shuffle. 2 shuffles. 3 shuffles. Start. Yes, he does, Chris Scott. Contributes a lot to this channel. 3, 2, 1. T-Bone! I don't think T-Bone's going to be here. T-Bone is an older gentleman. He emails me great emails all the time, but he watches on his computer or on his TV. And he has asked me in the past, how do I chat without super chatting? And I'm like, what do you mean? You can chat without, you don't have to super chat every comment. So I think he's a little bit of a, he struggles with the tech stuff. But if he was here, I'd love to. No, he's not. No, he's not like that. T-Bone's dope, man. T-Bone's a great guy. He actually, T-Bone, wow, this is wild. This is wild. I got an email at 10:42 today. That's 10 minutes ago from T-Bone. 10:42. I got an email 10 minutes ago from T-Bone. I wonder if he's listening to me. T-Bone, if you're listening to me, you email me, all right? Email me, say, I was listening to you. If he emails me that, I'll send him a prize. I'll do another giveaway for you guys, but if he emails me, I'm going to I'm going to send him something. All right? I'll do another giveaway. I'll do another because he's not going to be here in the chat. So I don't want to flake on what I promised. All right? But I will give it to him. All right? He's great. All right? If he emails me especially, I'll especially give it to him. But I'll respond to his email when I get off the air. All right? I'll respond to his email. I love T-Bone now. He's a great supporter. All right? Great supporter of the channel. Yeah, he is. He's dropped like $100 super chats like several times before. So pretty cool. I'm not liking this blue Kango with this red shirt. I'm not gonna lie to you. I might have to go back to my black Phillies hat. Sorry, guys. Go back to a black Phillies hat today. Like that look a little better. No one better than Bone. All right, here we go. Confirmed. 1 shuffle. 2 shuffles. 3 shuffles. Start! Ian East, you're out. T-Bone, you're out. 3, 2, 1. Paul Blown. Is Paul here? Paul's another foreigner, right? Paul won a Saquon jersey in the year. Paul won a Saquon jersey. He's one of our second or third Saquon winners of the year. I know because I ordered him a jersey and it shipped to yeah, that's why I did it vulnerable. Someone said bring out the powder blue. So I did that. Need maroon to go with the light blue. Yeah, I gotta get a maroon shirt. I don't have a maroon shirt. Paul Blown, busy being a mall. Senor's crying about repeat winners. Yeah, dickhead. Senor, go cry to someone who gives a shit about your tears. Start! Confirm! 1 shuffle. 2 shuffles. 3 shuffles. Start! Come on! I do have a maroon. It's not my favorite maroon. They got a better one. 2, 1. Cali baby! Yeah! Yeah! I hope Cali baby's here. I love Cali baby. Wait a second. You guys have seen my photos probably with me and Cali baby. Let me pull them up. There he is. There's me with Mike Berghorst, Cali baby, and his daughter at the parade. Come on, Cali. Please be here. Where's another picture? Look, there's Cali hollering up at us. Where is my boy Cali baby? Damn. I hope Cali baby's here. He's not here. Damn. Cali baby. Nice pick. Next. Yeah, it would have been a great gift for his kid. Would have been a great gift. He had 2 great kids. 2 great kids, his beautiful wife. I loved meeting Cali baby. He was awesome. He was a really cool dude, man. He hung around with us for 10, 15 minutes. He was dope. Dope dude. Man, I'm looking at these parade pics now. I missed the parade. The parade was so fun. All right, Cali baby. Guys, Cali baby I might extend a hand to Cali baby tomorrow when he's back. He watches every morning. He's here legitimately every morning. I might extend an olive branch to Cali baby tomorrow, but we'll do a new winner now. Start. Alex, cool story. Next. You guys are ruthless. Yeah, live stream from the parade's up, bro. It's up. I think it's pinned to the channel still. 1 shuffle. 2 shuffles. 3 shuffles. Start. How many times have I watched Super Bowl content? A lot. 2, 1. Jamie Thompson. I do not know that name. I do not know Jamie Thompson, but we got a lot of people who watch and don't comment that much. All right. Jamie, are you out there? Jamie Thompson, are you out there? Come on. Come on, Jamie. Good name, Jamie Thompson. Jamie Thompson. Never saw him. That doesn't mean they're not a member. Doesn't mean they're not a supporter. Doesn't mean they're not a supporter. I know you guys love they're on the chat. No, relax. More people listen to JAKIB that don't comment than people that listen to JAKIB and do comment. All right? I believe that. James Jones, this isn't for a jersey, dumbass. And you aren't getting one, James. You're on my shit list right now. Every time I get a Commander's email and unsubscribe because I ordered you a Jaden Daniels jersey, you got another week in the shit list. All right? Commenting in here is a bold move. It is. See, you guys scare some people off. You guys would be surprised, man. You scare some people off in the chat, all right? Not everybody's ready to come into the Thunderdome. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, listening right now who are like, oh, I'm listening, but I'm not commenting. All right? I'm not commenting. All right, Jamie, and you're done. I like your name, but you're done. Start. Confirm. One shuffle. Let's go one shuffle for JH1. Start. Come on. Come on. 3, 2, 1. Holly first. Man, I'm getting fed up. I'm about to pick somebody from the chat. Holly first. I don't got all day here. It's definitely an intense chat. It is, no doubt. Come on, Holly. I got to get out of here. It's 11 a.m. already. Every minute extra, unfortunately, every minute I spend extra here, I am adding to my list of work that will go late into the evening. And no, I am not complaining about it, but I gotta get to it. Holly last. Sorry, Holly. Sorry, Holly. Everybody's not happy with you. Start. I did one shuffle. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. James Dowgan. He wanted to win so bad in the year. Phillies can win a 4. Shady. I know that's gonna mess up my workday too. James, are you out there? Joe Whip says, Xander, ready for golf. Joe, you want to see my golf kicks? You might not like these. So I am ready for golf. I haven't golfed as much as I used to, especially since I've started hosting. But I did get myself a fresh pair of golf shoes for the year. You're an old school guy, Joe, so you might not like the new school golfers. But I got rid of my I had what's it called? FootJoys. I had a nice pair of FootJoys, and they weren't doing it for me, bro. They weren't doing it for me. So I got the Nike Jordan golf shoes. And these are dope because you can see they got the golf. But these are dope because they got the print. They're the white crocodile. And I think these are sick. So these are what I will be wearing for golf. I had a pair of these before, and they got trashed from the golf course. So I got a new pair. I've always thought they were the coolest golf shoes. All right, James is done. They're not really spiked, them Rays. They're good. They're good enough though. See? They're like kind of spiked, but not really like spikes. All right. Yeah, the 11s are sick, Fleming. I would get them. You know what else I saw? I saw a 5 in a golf shoe. It was crazy. It was like a 5 low in a golf shoe. Cool, man. Really cool. I don't agree with all you guys on this. Some Nikes are narrow, but I got a wide shoe, man. I got a wide foot. I got a big foot. I'm telling you, I got like a caveman foot. I don't have any issues, but my Nikes are pretty. All right, James is done. I know you guys want me to go. I gotta move. We gotta go. Let's go. Rapid fire. One shuffle. Start. Come on. Come on. Come on. Size 14. Wow, that's a big foot, bro. 11.5. 2, 1. 4 reels. Yes. Woo! 4 Reels made this sign. 4 Reels made that for me. Sent it to me. Spent well over $100 to ship it to me. And he handmade it. I hope he's here. 4 Reels, are you out there? That's a guy I want to send something to anyway. I don't think he's here. Damn. 4 Reels is my boy. Love 4 Reels. 4 Reels, if you're listening after the fact, don't worry. You know what? Here's what I'll say for 4 Reels if he's listening. Yeah, Vivos are great, Emrace. Good call by you. Vivo Barefoots are nice. This is what I'm going to say to 4 Reels if he's listening after. 4 Reels, I got something in the works. All right. For him, that's going to be a lot better than a Super Bowl shirt. Okay. I'm giving him a good ass care pack. I'm trying what I want to do. He's out in Cali. He used to live in the East Coast. Moved out to Cali. He's in fishing. I think he has his own charter ship or he works for a charter company, but he's a hardworking dude. I'm going to try and send him to the game. Do we play in LA next year? Do we play in LA next year? Anybody have the schedule? Let me look at the schedule. Where's the schedule? Road, yeah, we play. No, we play the Chargers in I guess in LA. So maybe I could send him to that game. I'd love to send him to that game. That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, 4 Reels, you're done for today, but don't worry, I got something coming for him. He'll be taken care of. He did win an AJ Brown jersey last year too. All right, the Chargers game, yeah, I'll send him to the Chargers game. Confirm, 1 shuffle, start it up. My boy, right on the bench. Good to see you, my man. Hope you're doing well, bro. I saw you in here a little bit earlier today. I didn't comment to you though. Thank you for being here, bro. 2, 1. Michael Robinson. Isn't never mind, I'm not gonna say it. Michael Robinson. Isn't there a conspiracy about that name? Is there a conspiracy theory about this name? I'm sure somebody will bring it up. Michael, are you out there? Oh, Ian is back. Ian, you're done. I hate to say it to you, guy. You're done though. Anthony Wilson, it's Xander time, brother. Where's my boy Michael? Where's my boy Michael? Ian, that's all right, bro. You got to work. I'm sorry you missed the giveaway. Ian, I'd like to do something for you because I said that you're one of our great supporters from over there in the UK. Ian, I'll try and work something out for you, all right? But the rules are the rules, Ian. I must abide by them. If I don't, then there's no semblance of consistency, okay? Michael, you're done. Z, am I in for the spin? Rich, I'll search for you, brother, but I'm sure you are. There you are, Rich. You see that? You're right. You're in there. All right. Start it up. I'm going to go no shuffles. 0 shuffles. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Rico Mart. I saw Rico in here. Oh, shit. I don't have the spinner up. Damn, my bad. My bad. I promise I didn't fudge it. Rico, are you out there? I got you. I see you guys. I see you. Rico Mart. I like that name. I've seen him before. He's been in here recently, I think. I think he was giving me some shit for some of my takes, actually. Might be. This baseball hat's tight on my head, bro. My head getting bigger. This is the one thing I hate about baseball hats. This is a 7 1/4, and I got 1 7 1/4 fits me perfect. One's too big, and this one's too small. I'm like, what? Can we get some consistency? What is this? New era? New era. Can we get some consistency? Come on. All right, Rico Mart, you're done. You're done. They're not consistent at all. My hair is growing. That's not the issue with this hat. Yeah, I like snapbacks, but I like Kangos, to be honest with you. No shuffle. Let's go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Miguel! Yes! Yes! Miguel, I'm sending something to Miguel, whether you guys like it or not. Let me give you an information about Miguel. Miguel is JAKIB's longest standing member on the channel. And this predates giveaways by years. Miguel has been a member. Let me pull it up. Miguel has been a member for how many months? Let me get it. Let me get it. Oh, my God. These computers are getting, I swear, they're getting more and more annoying as they, now we got safety and security and all pass keys and fingerprints and suspicious activity all the time. God, just show me what I'm looking for. Just show me what I'm looking for. Okay? Let me pull it up. Let me pull up how long Miguel's been a member. Say your members, time as a member, 33 months, coming in at number 1 overall. And number 2 is Takeem Hilton at 32 months. 33 months for Miguel Lara. 33 months for Miguel Lara. Do the math on it. That's almost 3 years, bro. 24 is impressive work, Bob Brown. 33 months for Miguel Lara. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Unbelievable stuff from Miguel Lara. So thank you, Miguel. Z, what's that P.O. box? I don't have a P.O. box, my guy. Send it to the JAKIB HQ if you got something for me. Rich, is it you that's been bugging me about the bricks? You've been on my mind, Rich. Prince Swayze says, just showing love. Work has been crazy. I have to travel more due to my president's request. JAKIB Nation for life. Yo, Prince, I love you, bro. Hope you're doing good, bro. Stay safe out there. I know you're killing it in whatever it is you're doing. We lost everybody. No, I cannot tell it. That would be very cool, though. That would be really cool. But I do not get that, no. I'll say this. In JAKIB's inception, since our inception, how many minutes of watch time do you think we have? Minutes of watch time. Million, 20 million, 50 million minutes. How many minutes do you think people have spent watching JAKIB? Anybody want to take a guess? Anybody want to take a guess what our total minutes watched is? 4 million? Don't go in days. Give me minutes. 30 million? 6 days. I don't know what that equates to in minutes. 100 million? 6 million, but I question that. Got to be close to 30 mil. A shit ton. It's a good guess. I'll say this. None of you guys are close. 250 million. 327 million minutes. I'll pull it up. Analytics. Let's go to watch time. All right, who's ready? Who's got a calculator? Lifetime. You ready for this? You guys are going to be blown away, I think. Because none of you guys have been even close. Measured, YouTube does measure in hours. That's why I said, do you have a calculator? We are well above 500 million. All right, ready? We have 13.3 million watch hours. 13.3 million watch hours. So take 13.3 million and times it by 60. My guess would be 850 million, 900 million minutes. YouTube does measure in hours. So 13.3 million hours, 40.7 million views. Nah, is that it? 798? 13.3 million? I thought we were in the 800s. Damn, I thought it was higher. 798 million minutes. Well done. 798 million minutes. Just pulled it from the YouTube panel itself. That's pretty good. Pretty good, folks. 800 million minutes. Think about that. People have watched JAKIB on their screen for 800 million minutes. That's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable, bro. It's unbelievable. I can't thank you all enough. Let's do this. On that note, we'll do another giveaway. Start. That's why I always say, riding the bench, put me up against any channel with more subscribers than JAKIB. I believe our metrics will be better. Joseph Alvino is our winner. Is Joseph here? Is Joseph here? Put our channel's metrics up against anybody's in the space. Some might have more views. Some might have more subscribers. I guarantee you, there's not a channel that covers the Eagles. Not NBC, none of the big dog that has more minutes than that. More minutes of consumption than that. Is Joseph here? We have to go rapid fire. I'm way late. It's 11:15. I got to go. Man, 800 million minutes. Unbelievable. Thank you all. Thank you all. Alvino, are you here? You don't have much time. Start. Let's go. We're going to rapid. We're going rapid. One shuffle. Come on. Rich, email me, bro. I'll send it to you. 2, 1. Dank Bird Gang 55. He's here. Woo! Dank, let's go. We got our winner. We got our winner. Yeah, baby. Dank is here every day, one of our great supporters. Dank, you know I love you, brother. Congratulations. All right. Let's go, Dank. Dank, what size are you, brother? We'll pick a shirt out together. 2-time champ, baby. Let's go, Dank. Let's go. Cody K, I appreciate that very much, man. Thank you all, man. Believe me, I'm nothing without you guys. Believe that. All right? Believe that. Dank, what size shirt you wear, brother? Nah, he's not a small. I don't think he's a small. Let's pick a shirt though with Dank. XL. Oh, I think I got the. See, Dank, you're in good shape. I think most of my options end up fall in the XL or large range. Let me pull up the email again because that'll be easier for me to see what's in the box without ripping through it all. All right. Eagles, get the order. Here we go. Where is my order? Where's my order? Here it is. All right, so let me pull up this email. Let's go. Love it. Dank, I'm pumped you won, bro. You're one of the best. I really appreciate you. For sure. All right, here we go. All right, this is everything I bought, all right, in the email. So he delivered on March 15th, 2 weeks ago. All right, so I got XL. Ooh, we got the shirt with all the signatures with the in an XL right there. They're having a 2X, small, large. XL is the regular. That's the shirt they wore at the parade or on the field. Dank, you could pick that one. That one's pretty dope. I got 3 of them, so I have XLs there. You could pick that one. Got the W shirt in XL. We have that in XL. I got this Super Bowl champions, Fanatics Heather. All right. We got this gray one. Oh, no, I don't have that in XL. I have that in large, medium, 2X, and 3X. All right, so your options are this gray Heather one, the Got the W shirt, the on-field Super Bowl champs shirt, or the signature shirt. Let's see what he likes. Let's see what Dank likes. Got the W is cool. A lot of people wore that at the parade. A lot of players wore that. Let's see what Dank. Signature. Done. Done and dusted, my brother. It's a good pick. Let me see if I can find one just to show it off. There it is. This is a small, so this isn't the one you're going to get, but see, so this has the signature of all the players on the team. This is a really cool shirt, man. It's a really cool shirt. So, Dank, I'll send that to you, brother. Can you just email me again? Can you email me, Dank, your ad? I know you won something before, so I have it, but it's buried in the archive. So if you could, just email me again. If you need my email, I'll drop it in the chat. All right. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you all, man. 800 million minutes, nearly. That is freaking sick. Isn't that cool? Isn't that freaking cool, everybody? 800 million minutes. I mean, holy shit. It's unbelievable. But thank you, bro. Brandon Howard, my boy. Brandon, love you, bro. Appreciate you. Dank, Bird Gang girl, my girl. Appreciate you, Bird Gang. Shady Westbrook, my boy. Love you, Shady. Appreciate you, bro. James Jones, Philly Don. Philly Don looking good in that Kango. Check out, if you look real closely, everybody, you can see Don rocking the black with the gold logo Kango. Rich, my boy Rich. Appreciate you, Rich. Bob Brown. Thank you, Bob. Chuck Hutton. Chuck. Appreciate you, Chuck. William Stark. Thank you, William. M. Reyes. All you guys. Jason A-Team. El Yepa. Cody K. Sig Lord. I got all you guys. Texas T. David LaPre. Dre Tucker. Sue Chick. I see Sue. Rad in the bench. Thanks all you guys, man. Thanks all you guys. Another great day. Another great show. And I'll be back. I'm going to do 2 giveaways tomorrow. So we'll do a legend giveaway tomorrow and a regular winner tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to doing that. You can see my head is like busting out of this hat. I got to get it off. It's giving me a headache. All right. I don't know if the thing shrunk or my head got bigger, but doesn't fit me great anymore. So thanks, everybody. Love all you guys. See you next time on Birds 365. Congrats to Dank.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.